you by my side, my side, my side. Without you by my side. One time from side to side. Peekaboo, I see you, peekaboo, I see you. Looking at me, looking at you. Hold up, where you going? What you doing? Who you seeing? What you need? What you want? I said, without you by my side, my side, my side. Without you by my side. One time from side to side. Without you by my side, I can't go outside. Without you by my side, I can't go outside. Without you by my side, I can't go outside. One time from side to side. Walking alone, the streets are empty. The only thing I can see is my own silhouette. I'm getting stronger, step by step. The clock is ticking, but there's no time for regrets. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe, trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Yeah. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Feel like a dynamite, ready to explode right up in the sky. I need you to listen, I need you to hear, and don't show any fear. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe, trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Yeah. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe, trying to protect your soul.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to day 15 of the Path2Pro Combine. We are getting towards the very last rounds of what has been a long and grueling process of selecting the
Yes.
top upcoming talent in North America to see who is going to be in that LA boot camp. 5 players already selected, 5 left to be chosen. And tonight's match is going to be a big part of that process. My name's Gordo. I'm joined by Quacks on the broadcast tonight. We've got a block of 3 games with 10 very talented players to check on out. And some of my personal favorites for that second round are going to be playing today, Quacks. So this is going to be an exciting one.
Yep. Oh, for sure. I mean, personal favorites are I would say who there's too many to choose from in a match like this, especially when you've got players who, despite not making the cutoff necessarily the first time around, you're definitely looking at to get into those last 5 players. I think Kryra in particular has
Oh, yeah.
garnered a lot of eyes, specifically on that Zach, right? You and I, Gordo, have learned that you gotta ban this man, Zach, or else you are going to face the consequences. And there are also a lot of other really big names, like looking across the board, Scary Jerry and Sushi. These are 2 players that you would love to see continue in a combine like this, but only one of them in that role can move forward. So it's grueling. Things are getting more intense. The margins for error are getting slimmer. And to kick us off here on the day, we've also got a little bit of a rule that has been keeping up for the week where we are essentially locked behind a certain number of champions and specific characters are only allowed to be picked. And one ban is only allowed, Gordo.
Yeah, we're in a limited pool of champions. It's 5 champs per role. I'm not going to list them all off for you. Nobody wants to listen to me rattle off 25 champion names, but we'll make reference to them as we go. So the Corki ban is fake. The Rel ban is real.
Yep.
Quite a bold choice there by the blue team to go in here and do their real ban in Phase 1 ban 2. That's definitely not the most straightforward way to go about doing it, but they can make whatever choice they so choose. And then, yeah, the rest of these are just going to be filler bans that don't particularly mean anything. The Rel is now gone. Okay, the Rel's not supposed to be Rel, so that's not their real
So
ban.
they both saved it for the second phase.
Yes,
This time around.
I mean, that's what I would do.
Yeah.
I came in here, I was going to say, I feel like that's what we should expect coming in. Feels like it makes the most sense. The Skarner snapped up. That is not a champion on the list that you're allowed
No,
to
it is
pick.
not. It's been very popular in the combine, but it's not one of the 5 jungle champions. So not sure when we'll get word or updates on that. But for the time being, it is just going to be the draft. Continuing on, Ivern going to be the lock-in here, which leads me to believe we might see a marksman in the mid lane. Smolder and Tristana are available to be picked in that role, so maybe they want to pair along with the Ashe that got snagged on up here. Maybe they want to pair the Ivern with more than just one marksman and really get a strong pairing or a couple pairings with the Ivern going forward, because we've seen the scaling from this champion, the amount of peel he can provide, the amount of space he can make, and overall a very difficult champion to counteract if you know what you're doing. And Ollie so far this combine has definitely shown his stripes.
All right, so Tristana going to be locked in here as well. So everything is allowed except for the Skarner. We're getting told that the Skarner is real. I don't know what that means, but
Okay.
we'll let you guys know when we get some more information. There's Yone. He's
That's
not
not
on
allowed.
the list either. I'm guessing we have an out-of-date list. That's my guess.
Yeah, there might be an out-of-date list or just overall something that the teams might have forgotten about. So Yone not allowed, Skarner not allowed. Not sure where we're going, but we'll update you all when that comes along. Haven't seen the bans yet hit either. Teemo and Yi taken away. Those are obviously fake. Those are filler, not killer. So I'm wondering what we're going to see. Yeah, the Cassante, the final
That's
ban
real.
here
That's a
for
real one.
Team 2. That's going to be the real one. That's going to be their choice. And now I would expect probably a similar result where we are going to see a top lane ban, but instead it's going to be the Zed. So if the Rel is not real and the Zed stays, then they didn't ban a single champion on the list, because Corki, despite being strong, was not on the list, Gordo.
Yep. I'm still looking at what they had the same list posted on their general chat yesterday. So maybe everybody's allowed to cheat the list once. Maybe that's the rule.
I think that might be the rule. I think, yeah, I actually do recall that being the case where you are allowed to choose one champion that isn't on the list. I'm just reading it now. So I would assume the Skarner is the exception, and then the Yone is the exception on the other side. But it still does not answer our question on what that second ban was coming out from Tier 1. But we are answering what the upcoming champions are. So Renekton and Rel, double R is going to be locked in here. Now the Leona, going to be the final one. We are just zipping through this draft, Gordo. We are going past the confusion and right into the competence picks from both of these teams. So stock standard stuff across the board. I actually do really like the pivot coming out here from Team Hoarder to, instead of going for one of those marksman mid, going for something like the Smolder, which they had available to go for in mid lane, they pivot to something like the Yone, which still has, I would say, the same carry potential as a marksman, still works very well with the Ivern at the end of the day. So you can essentially substitute this out and have the same result if you play it right. I think a lot of it is going to come down to Fi Mini and getting poked down in the lane phase. This is always kind of a worry that we have about ranged versus melees, is how well can you space, how well can you avoid, getting hit by those, stray auto attacks here and there from the Tristana. And if he can survive the laning phase decently well, I would imagine he's going to go D-shield and probably going to go that fleet footwork as well. Then we could see a very scary late game comp come in post 20 minutes by Team Hoarder.
Yeah, if I were to wager a guess, I would guess that the missing ban from Team 1 here on the blue side might be the Braum. Assuming that they did their ban in phase 2, they already had the Tristana mid locked in. It's good into the Ziggs bot lane. It pairs up really well in a kite back strategy where you've already got this Ashe and this Ivern locked in. So yeah, I'm going to put my analyst hat on for a moment and stake a claim that I bet the ban was Braum. And then that ends up with Zyko locking in this Leona at the end here. So I hear some league sounds in the background, so hopefully we'll be able to get in here before too long, although I was told that there was a pause at the start of the game. So we might have to yap about these comps a little bit longer. All right, nope, never mind. We're getting onto the Rift. Welcome, everybody. Game number 1 kicking off right here, right now.
Yep, took a little bit, but we're here on the Rift. Both teams just looking to go for that home stretch. Rather, the players themselves looking to go for that home stretch, trying to get those last little licks in before the big decision on whether they're going to LA or not. And I like this move from Team Hoarder. This is something that Ivern, I think, is very underrated in his utilization of, and that's just being able to take these camps away. And it's not as effective against champions like the Skarner, who don't necessarily need to full clear to be useful, but it certainly can throw a wrench in Kryra's plan later down the line if Ollie chooses to do something like that.
Minions have spawned.
Yeah, definitely. And assuming that the real rule is that you're allowed to pick one champ not on the list. All right, yeah, I'm hearing they are allowed one outside the pool. If that is the rule, then I think using it on Kryra makes a lot of sense here. The Skarner, really, really powerful champion, and it wouldn't surprise me if that continues to be the case as time goes on. In this series, that Kryra being the one who gets that resource more frequently, as that will definitely be a big boon to him if he is able to secure it. He's got a lot of pocket picks that are just really, really strong here, not the least of which has been that Zac that you brought up earlier on. So
for sure,
see if we get to see some of that a little bit later on in the series. Is a little bit of lane swap shenanigans. Crimson and Scary Jerry find themselves both in top lane to bully Hoarder.
And this is going to be, I'm interested to actually see how Hoarder plays this, because I believe it is actually his jungler pathing away from him at the end of the day. Ivern, a little bit tricky to navigate, which is part of the reason why he is, contested by certain players that are very good at him. But I'm interested if Hoarder gets any sort of relief at this time, as Ollie won't get any. Holy moly!
Him down, finding him here. He will be able to secure that first camp, but the Ignite's going to reduce the healing he got from it, and Utter already on the move trying to hunt this guy down. Will be able to use that root caller to get over the wall, but Kim down, still hot on his trail. Going to just look to be disruptive and make it difficult. Like, can't even use the passive on that camp because the health cost up front is going to force him right out.
And Ollie wanting to protect from this dive. I like the move from Hoarder. Just abandons the tower, recognizes that even if the Ivern is here, won't be able to do anything, and the Ivern certainly won't.
Slammed right into the wall by the Ishpal's impact, and this should be first blood. Kryra and Kim down, making that first clear so difficult. And Crimson TPing back away down to the bottom lane. Now going to be a 3 versus 1 dive towards the level 1 Hoarder. He takes level 2, but I don't think that's enough. Kim down with the aftershock, tanks multiple shots, goes down for the execute, and it will be a kill back for a Hoarder. So he trades 1 for 1. This is a huge wave that he's going to be denied.
For sure, and that's really big for Scary Jerry. Gets some time to free farm as well. A little bit of a scuffed dive from Crimson. Kryra missing out on that E initially, but managed to recuperate a little bit. They get the Gale, they get the damage. They also burn the Flash, so if Team Crimson wants to go for a potential redive, if they stack the waves up and they get this opportunity again, they could certainly take it. And you can see Utter currently is pushed in under his tower, but this is not the way we expect the lane to go. We expect the Tristana to be shoving in Yone, especially after that first reset, as neither mid laner has, gone back to purchase their items. The Trist should have the priority, which will allow Kryra and Tristana as well, if Utter wants to roam up toward that top lane, go for that dive yet again, and just continue punishing Hoarder.
Definitely. Now, there's going to be a little bit of an early lead given over to the blue side here. Team 1 doing a really good job to try to starve out this Ivern. Kim down going to get spotted though, and he is under-leveled compared to his opposition. Locked down and soon to be taken out. Sushi on his signature Ashe going to be able to pick up that kill.
And it's a Kryra kill there onto 5 Mini. So 5 Mini goes down, doesn't burn the Flash crucially. So the Yone still having that extra bit of tether to safety, but it is more resources going over to the Skarner, the champion that was heavily prioritized by Team Crimson. It was the one champion that was the exception. It was first pick, and this has always been a huge advantage of Kryra's. Even when he's not put on the carries like the Zac, like the Sejuani, his map play and the fact that he is everywhere is really what I think makes him stand out amongst his other jungle comrades. He is so good at playing the map and just being able to navigate the jungle and make the most of his pathing.
Completely agree. I think this is a player who, had he gotten to play a full NACL split, would have been much, much more in the Rookie of the Split conversation for the NACL. Did come in about 2/3 of the way through, so wasn't really considered a true candidate. That ended up going over to Levitate. And there's going to be now an opportunity for him to prove himself in a different format over the course of this Path2Pro Combine, especially if he can make it to LA against a pretty stacked talent pool. Now going to be grouped on up with 4 members of his team up towards the top side for this second grub spawn. Does seem like that's going to be the priority, or the first grub spawn rather. We're only 6 minutes in, despite the 5 kill count already being on the board. And they are going to look to see if they can secure it. Ollie already using the Bushmaker to make sure that he's got himself the space, and Kim down might be caught again, jumping back away with the crash down.
Good disengage there coming out from Kim down. Does buy them a little bit of time to just kind of recuperate and maybe get something going on these grubs, but it also does give Team Hoarder the opportunity to pivot on back. They are 4 members strong. 5 Mini does have level 6, so they have the resources, they have the damage. Let's see what they can do with it.
On forward, there's a big lockdown on towards Kim down. He will be dropping before too long. Sushi going to be the first one to pick up a kill in this fight. The rest of his team works to secure these grubs. They've got 1 down already, but still plenty more health to work through, and the poke damage from Scary Jerry is starting to stack up. Psycho flashes in for a little bit more. The equalizer's layered down by Hoarder, and Kryra going to be stuck deeper than he wants to be. He pulls out the Crimson with a flash forward Koldameek to pick up a double kill. Utter's in place to take a second, and these grubs are going over to Team 1.
And Utter there managing to get the bomb off onto 3. Crimson flashes on over. Dominus procced and manages to turn that fight around for his team. The beautiful execution there from the solo laners of Team Crimson. It nets them the 2 grubs, and we can see in the replay here just how it happened. You can see they're both roaming in. Zyko goes on in, tries to have something happen for his team, but you can see Utter and Scary Jerry free hitting. The bomb goes off, and look at the damage. The AoE from Crimson and Utter is just too much to handle. The health bars are not tanky enough to withstand the burst, and they drop like flies. So it's 2 grubs going over to Team Crimson, 1 grub over to Team Hoarder, but a boatload of gold over to multiple carries on this blue side team.
Yeah, the double kill to Crimson especially going to be impactful here. Hoarder's got 2 kills of his own, but being able to spend that money on the Renekton early on in this sort of one-on-one matchup, I think is going to be really, really valuable for him as we see top lane maybe start to get a little bit less attention up until that next round of grub spawns, but having the 2 grub lead already, the chance to get up to 4 or 5 much more easily for Team 1, that's going to be a priority for them with this Renekton getting strong.
And Crimson and Hoarder, finally being able to match each other in this lane after the lane swap shenanigans have seemingly ended in game number 1. These are 2 players that I think had a really interesting year in 2023. So we're going to have to hold that thought. Kryra's going in for the gank, has the ult available.
Nice snag with the Ishtal's impact, going to be able to guarantee the Impale, and a knockback from Utter should be all she wrote for Phi Mini. He will fall down. It's a 2nd kill to Utter in this laning phase, and soon to be plates as well as Ollie retreats away to be able to pick on up these camps.
And this is a big deal for Utter, and I would honestly rope Scary Jerry in there as well. Having grubs is by far, I think, the most valuable objective for a team like this that is so effective at taking down these towers, at pushing and sieging. Even though they don't have the full 3 of Scary Jerry.
Nice dodge, but Scary Jerry on Enchanted Crystal Arrow, that's going to be it. He's out.
Yep. Smooth like butter. Ziggs is out of there. But yeah, the grubs going over to a comp like this, certainly something that Team Hoarder want to prevent. So they have to be looking at this top side, but it's actually Crimson looking at this top side.
Another Ishtal's impact through the wall for Kryra, and this chain CC is going to spell the end for Hoarder. He gets the equalizer off on the wave, but it's another kill to Crimson, and Sushi dropping on the other side to Scary Jerry. Kim down, likely going to be the one who found the trigger pull there, and it's just members dropping for T2 all across the board here. Not going to be able to defend this Dragon take as Kim down's going to spot it out. Kryra on the other side of the map, though, they may choose to give it up, but it's intimidating.
I mean, Kim down alone being there forced them off, but it's looking like he's not going to try his luck. Kim down, one of those, I would say, players that very much so likes to live it on the edge. Sometimes he gets punished for it, other times he doesn't. It's very interesting to watch him work, watch him play, because sometimes I feel like this man is like tier 3 barrel. Some of the plays he makes is just like dark technology, and sometimes it works. When it works, it looks absolutely insane. When it doesn't work, it just looks derpy. In the case like that, it was, I would say, around 50% effectiveness. It got them out. It stalled the Dragon take, which means that now Team Crimson have a presence around this top side. Kryra's just going to take this buff, and all he has to concede it.
Going to be an easy pickup here for Kryra yet again. Looking dominant in this matchup with his Heartsteel already completed. Not somebody that you want to tussle with, and he might be able to force a play on this top side. The wave was culled pretty fast by Sushi and Zyko, so a dive not exactly in the cards here yet, but keep an eye on this upcoming wave, especially if Utter is able to unlock himself from mid.
And now the grubs spawning on up, and you can just see how much of a stranglehold Team Crimson have over this top side. The wave is in their control. Ollie's going for a reset, so the numbers are there as well. Utter has prio in mid. It's at around a neutral state, actually, but it does mean they're going to get these grubs for free. The Ivern Recalled is going to be setting up in the bot lane in hopes of maybe trying to get potentially a pick onto Crimson. But the team that you least want to give this objective to gets the objective, and already with a 3K gold lead, 11.5 minutes in, it's a pretty rough start for the side of Team Hoarder.
Definitely, and the dive is still being threatened here. Zyko and Sushi may have overstayed. I think Ollie had the right read that he had to back away. Phi Mini the same, not even showing up to the party. Sushi and Zyko gonna get forced out here. They avoid getting dove, but they are now completely sectioned off of this top side, and Team 1 definitely fully willing to capitalize on the opportunity and just take this entire turret. Scary Jerry gonna have the execute.
And it goes down like that. A big portion of the map and a big portion of gold going over to the members of Team Crimson. And on the other side, you can see Hoarder getting some plates for himself, but the resets are coming in and the teleports are available to the point where he won't get much more than that. He's going to greed for this plate, and I'm actually thinking Utter could have potentially gone for a play, but Equalizer was available for the Rumble. Utter didn't want to try his luck, probably the safer play, but it is going to mean just more and more advantages over to Team Crimson. Hoarder's team, though, really starving at this point. This is a comp that you need to have your solo laners ahead. The importance of Rumble as essentially your solo AP champion cannot be understated. And then we talked about it in the draft. The Yone getting ahead, being able to scale at a healthy rate would really complete the usefulness of this Ivern. And so far, you've got neither of those things.
Yeah. Interesting here, we do still see the Static Shiv first come through for Utter. This is new Static Shiv, the one with the 3 charges that just came through in the patch yesterday. So this is going to be my first exposure to the item.
Same.
It's supposed to be a little bit better at wave clear, a little bit worse in stats, a little bit cheaper. And it does fit what Utter is looking for in this composition and on this champion as they start to work on another turret. And Scary Jerry's here with the Tristana. They're going to take the whole damn thing.
It's going to be Team Hoarder trying to find them. Intrinsic Crystal Arrow goes out. Teleport is available.
It's going to be the execute. They do manage to find it. Turret's already down. Kim down. Going to be caught on out, though. Psycho holding down Scary Jerry on the other side, but Crimson arrives to the fray, focusing on towards the Leona. Hoarder flashing forward. Flame Spitter charging. Rips through the back line. And Crimson is left out to dry. Trying to clean up a kill wherever he can find one, but he will drop. Team 2 manage their health bars. They come out with the win.
3-0. Tower goes over to Team Crimson, but they overstay their welcome, and they get punished for it, Gordo. And it's more resources over to Hoarder, more resources over to Sushi. 5 Mini as well, also getting on the board. And Trent to Crystal Arrow goes on out, and initially you're thinking this fight is good. They find a huge chunk onto Kim down, but that was a big Mega Inferno bomb. What really makes the difference here, though, is the fact that that equalizer essentially cut Team Crimson in half. Crimson was completely isolated. Hoarder could melt down the back line. Like you said, it was the Renekton left out to dry. He gets picked off, but I really think Hoarder did a good job at creating space with that ultimate, severing them in half and getting them a fight win.
Yeah, these are the highlights on Hoarder that have made him hyped for so long. On these carry champions, he can find these huge plays in the Rumble, giving him the tools that he needs there to be able to turn around that fight and give his team a fighting chance in this game. Now coming back with the items, going to challenge for this Rift Herald, but no equal available, going to limit some of the power. And Kim down looking for a potential big engage here. He doesn't have the Magnet Storm, but could still get a big crash down.
On the side.
Spotted out by 5 Mini. Damage coming in from Scary Jerry on the side. Rift Herald's already fallen down. Cryer's over the wall. He snags onto Zyko, who will be falling down before too long, but does manage to walk it out. Actually, the CC from Team 2 is just a little bit too much. They continue to hold them in place. Hoarder's still enough of a damage threat. They can't even get onto the eye, and the health bars might be too low for them to ever get a shot at it. Kim down, picked off.
And it's just Team Crimson there going in blind. They don't get the eye. They don't have the vision, as seeing Kim down gets taken down. And when we said it was Team Crimson getting huge advantages in this early game, it's now 2 fight wins in a row for Team Hoarder. They don't have the objectives necessarily to back it on up, but right on cue, the dragon spawns! And 5 Mini gets a solo kill, Gordo.
Nicely done by 5 Mini here. He had a great last fight there as well, and that's 2 fights in a row where Zyko is taking up the majority of the focus on this Leona, and he's just too tanky when he does have that shield up. The Eclipse is giving him too much tankiness. They don't manage to finish him off. They dump in too many resources, and the remaining members of Hoarder's squad are able to take them out. We see the fight again.
The fight again. Yeah, like you said, 5 Mini managing to catch Kim down basically to no HP. It completely severs what the side of Team Crimson can do, and just all of the AoE, all of the poke, all of the damage coming in through, but we're going right back to live.
Yeah, 5 Mini found himself a very low here. Kim down's on the cutoff, and this will be a kill, and they will give it over to Crimson. It's going to maintain the gold lead at a little bit over 2K to Team Crimson. Now, the question is going to be, can they find actual fights with it? They find another pick. Zyko caught out alone, and this is going to go differently than the team fights, I bet. Maybe not. Utter coming in with the Buster Shot, finishes him off.
Lone Buster Shot managing to execute Zyko at the skin of his teeth. It's 2 picks going over to Team Crimson. So I like what they're doing with this. They're pushing in the side lanes. The Sushi is just looking to bully Crimson out, but Dominus, curiously not available for the Renekton. I actually wonder if maybe Sushi wanted to go up a little further there. Just didn't want to chance it. Had Flash, though. But at the end of the day, it's just going to be some harass. And Crimson's team, whatever you want to call them, I like what they're doing with those picks. You can see they are gaining control over this top side momentarily, albeit, as you can see, Team Hoarder themselves looking to clear out this vision. Nothing really on the board at this point. Dragon isn't going to be up for another 3.5 minutes. Baron isn't going to be on the cards for another 2. So it's just going to be a couple of minutes of dead time, essentially. And I'm curious to see how the teams make use of that and if potentially we can see more picks from Team Crimson or who knows, maybe another team fight win out of nowhere from Team Hoarder.
And keeping an eye on Sushi as well. He's got a lot of gold this game, has participated in 9 kills, has been farming solidly alongside the rest of his squad. And he's on one of these champions that I really associate with him in the Ashe. This has been a big pick for him back in spring on Blackrock and summer on Lotus. This was super respected for him, and he had a lot of really good performances on it. And I still expect him to be able to do that, really abusing the slow, abusing the CC opportunities given to him on the champion and positioning on it very well to still be a substantial DPS threat. As Team 2 rather, coming on in for the fight. Ale going to be able to snag on a Hoarder, but the follow-up damage isn't quite there. Mega Inferno Bomb comes through, but it's not finishing off anybody. Crimson arrives to the scene, but the TP was late. He's just going to get fired onto by Sushi, who goes on a killing spree, and it's another 3-0 fight for Team 2. Team 1 not on the same page.
And there may not be any objectives up, but it's more gold. A team fight, like we said, needed for Team Hoarder when they needed it most. And they're going to push on toward that top lane, try to get that tower, try to buy themselves some more space to work with, because so far, every single team fight has been on their side of the map. Now it's time for Team Hoarder to take the fight to Team Crimson. And they can only do that with neutrals. They can only do that with turrets and with vision. So the stars are starting to align. Sushi is 5-1-6. Hoarder is 5-2. Bimini very much into this game, was instrumental to that last team fight win. Those combined spaces are what Yone loved the most. So he manages to get the big knock-up, get the big ultimate, and completely sever Team Crimson of any lead. And they are still holding on to around a 2,000 gold lead, but it feels like that is minuscule at this point in the game when you consider both the Dragons are going over to Team Hoarder, and they've got the scaling advantage with the Ivern potentially.
Yeah, and both these teams just seem to be washing their hands and resetting each and every time. The Baron is now up and available, and everybody once again is hugging around this top side. Kim down, waiting in the bush, looking to spot anybody coming in and trying to clear out some of this vision. Top lane going to get shoved in by Mini, and Ultimate's going to be up in just a couple of seconds, means we might get to see some action on this top side sooner rather than later.
And I'm actually really curious to see why we're prioritizing the top side. You can see that Dragon is spawning in about a minute here. This would be sole point for the side of Team Hoarder. This would be a major win condition for them. But now Kryra's looking to cut that in half.
The rest of the team not quite here yet. They snag onto Zyko. That's not the target you're looking for. They're going to find Oner on the other side. Fate sealed. Takes him down. And now it's going to be a focus on towards Kim down Sushi. Fighting on the opposite side, keeping them slowed up and preventing an engage. Kim down and Utter, the ones who end up falling in the fight. It's a 5 versus 3 on the map. The turret falls, and Team Hoarder should be able to get themselves onto this Baron.
They're going to try, but you can see the health bars are a little bit low. They don't want to chance it. It's looking like they're just going to try and finish their resets, but Zyko in that fight, I mean, Kryra brought him closer to the team. You would initially think that would lead to a pick, but Zyko survives the barrage of damage. It's Leona after all. Brings him closer to Scary Jerry. Zyko gets onto him and says Utter rather, and says thank you very much. Gets the lockdown, and we're gonna see it here in the replay. You can see Utter perfectly comfortable on this side lane, just trying to fire away. Kryra goes in, gets the impale onto Zyko, but look at how much tankiness this Leona has with W plus the Ivern. He gets closer, they manage to lock up Utter and one-shot him. And really, that's what really won them the fight. They get the kill onto Kim down, but that's kind of just a big participation award at that point. They got the main target of Team Crimson. They got themselves the kill, and now they're looking to get themselves the dragon.
Indeed they are. Now, what will they be able to get for themselves in and around this dragon? Want to be able to get onto Soul Point here. Team 1. Not ones to shy away from the fight we've seen this game. If they're going to be able to find it here. Kryra not heading over the wall in time. Lose the control ward. Mini into the backline again, taking down Utter, looking for Scary Jerry. Sushi's there to fire the last couple of shots and finish the job. And once again, it is Dragon, it is a fight win, and it is control of the map to Team Hoarder. This time, the Baron is right for the picket.
And Phi Mini, the big development project here for CCG in the ACL. The new kid on the block in the mid lane manages to get the 2 kills with that Fate Seal. The Baron has been started up. It's a 3v5. And Team Warner, they're looking to put the nail in the coffin.
Yeah, locking down on the opposite side. Zyko once again leading the charge, setting up for a Hoarder on a massive equalizer. And they will clean up that kill. Not going for the Baron this time, just going to take the death timer for Crimson. Reset, spend this money, and be ready to keep on resetting the fights. They've swung the gold over 5K into their favor over the course of the last couple of minutes, now finding themselves at a 2K lead, having been at a 2K deficit earlier on. And they are just looking to keep on resetting these fights over and over the exact same way. They feel confident in their ability to keep on finding these team fights. Phi Mini doing a great job on the Yone to isolate the back line, team fight in and team fight out. And it doesn't seem like Team 1 have a good answer.
And Phi Mini, a player, you know, he started the laning phase 0-3, but is now 3-4, 2 items on the Yone. But look at those assists. Look at that KP, despite what is, I would consider, a pretty rough laning phase. Speaking of rough, Scary Jerry's got it rough.
Yep, Crystal Arrow connects, easy Solar Flare, and a pick for Sushi and Zyko. Credit just goes to Sushi on that one, in my book. Zyko has a pretty easy job. Just be able to keep him in place and lock him down, but good follow-up. And now Hoarder going to be in the 1 versus 2. This is where Team Hoarder could be, but Hoarder just cuts him down first. He is 9 kills in on the Rumble, and he can burn through the Croc.
And not only does he get the kill, but they also reveal where Kryra is on the map. He's on the bot side, and Hoarder's squad immediately pivots onto this Baron. This will be a huge fight win for them at the end of the day. This advantage going to swing Cryo so heavily in their favor, they'll probably be able to get that mid lane tower and open up the map in their favor and finally make some plays into the side of Crimson's team's jungle. And they'll be able to play this game proactively. It feels like over the course of the past 25 minutes, they have been reacting to a lot of Team Crimson's plays, reacting to Kryra's engages, reacting to Kim Down's engages, and they've been able to stave them off, but they have never been the ones to start these fights for the most part. We've seen some really good Fate Seals from Phi Mini to start us off, but now with this mid lane turret, now with this Baron buff, now with this huge advantage in their back pocket, they'll finally be able to catch the Crimsonators off on guard, and hopefully it'll be 1 or 2 more plays and they can take this game.
Yeah, they should be very easily able to use this Baron to just shove their way in. The threat of a fight, not something that Team 1 wants to go for, but something that they feel forced into here. Not a bright future for them as this game gets into the 30, 35, 40-minute territory. So they really want to be able to find miracle fights to swing the gold back into their favor and try to grab another foothold in this game. But the opportunities seem to be dwindling. They definitely need to all be on the same page. They need to be getting a huge engage off of this Skarner Impale and following up on it to be able to blow up multiple targets. But they're just faster on the trigger pull every time, rotating around the map, using this Baron buff to take the objectives. TP being channeled, Enchanted Crystal Arrow doesn't quite connect onto Crimson, but Hoarder is here. He's got the equalizer in just a second or two, and he looks ready to chase it down to Crimson. The burn damage, just too much to handle for the Croc, and Hoarder goes legendary.
And good bait in there by Phi Mini. He used the Fate Seal to get away from the 1v2, buys time for Hoarder to react, and they manage to burn down Crimson. So it's only 1 kill, it's only 1 pick, but it is a pick when they need it the most. Solar Flare going to connect, but Utter manages to get away from that one. But the prio they have bought themselves, the numbers advantage, really means a lot when this Dragon is about 30 seconds away. Team Hoarder have no real reason to relinquish control. You can see they're going for a 2-3 split in the mid lane and the bot lane. They're going to take down these turrets, get pressure in these lanes, and then once the Dragon spawns, they will immediately pivot on over to it. And Team Crimson, they're just going to have to pick up the scraps. They can't realistically go for a fight unless they get a pick.
The case. Kryra thinks he has the pick here. Hoarder going to be the focus. Equalizer comes down. Hoarder's going to try to turn and burn, but won't have enough to take down the tanky Skarner. That's a shutdown over to Scary Jerry. It's a good first step as they look to contest and prevent this Dragon Soul from going on across. They're going to need to regroup and head over there soon, though. Instead, they're going to try to just force a play down. Him down maybe up a little bit too far. Mini sees him exposed, goes for the play. TP now being channeled. Here comes Crimson into the middle of the squad. The knockup
Psycho!
Daisy, though, setting up for a successful 4v5 team fight. Mini jumps in to follow up and finish what he started in the form of Kim down, and it's favored to T2 all over again.
And it's Zyko, undeterred, unfazed, unwavering, going into the meat grinder of Team Crimson and coming out unbesmirched at the end of it all. The Leona just brush it off her chest plate saying, all right, is that all you got? And Team Hoarder about to have a lot more. They get the soul. We're now around 30 minutes into this game, a little bit less, Gordo, and it feels like all of the members of this Team Hoarder comp have officially scaled on up. It is looking rough for Team Crimson in these last few phases.
Yeah, it just all comes back down to that series of several fights in a row where the focus was on to Zyko and they weren't able to finish him off on the side of Team Crimson. Really needed to keep that lead snowballing, really needed to keep using this comp
Kryra
to tear on through towers, and that opportunity just evaporated in front of them off back-to-back fight losses, and Team 2 have not let up on the gas since then. They have not made these sorts of mistakes that would have given Team 1 the opportunity to come back. We're not going to talk about that double camp attempt.
No, we're certainly not, but we really should, I think, talk about Mini. 20 out of 25 KP. Super rough early laning phase for the Yone, and this is a player that really only made their mark recently in the latter half of 2024. And when you compare him to a player like Utter, a player with a very similar story, this is, you know, two players that we might see for a very long time in the competitive scene.
Lockdown found onto Scary Jerry. He's going to be the focus. Gets the Mega Inferno Bomb out, but doesn't connect it onto anybody. Orders in so deep, and he's got the backup of Mini. A Fate sealed onto 2, and the Yone has fully scaled. Gonna cut down to Sushi's godlike as he's been firing away the whole time long. And Team 2, Team Hoarder, breaking into the base on this next wave. Death timers are long. They might be able to finish it off here.
They're going to have Daisy take aggro, and now the wave has pushed on in. It's only Kryra available, but members are spawning in about 15 seconds. We'll have to see if Team Hoarder go for the push. They take the inhibitor, and they're deciding here. They're deciding now. They're going for it. They're going to look for the end, Gordo.
Yeah, not even taking time to fire shots at Kryra, and that might prove to mean that they can't end the game. Kryra able to use his AoE to cut through the minions, and they do choose to exit rather than risk potentially giving a fight back over. Kryra going to find them all, interrupts several recalls. Mini coming on forward. Can they turn this into an actual pick? Can they find a foothold back into the game? Great route going to stop him from going over the wall. Mini going to go Soul Unbound, trying to find his way back into the fight. Snaps back through Soul on the other side of the Equalizer, burning the whole way through. Kim down and Scary Jerry virtually soloed out by Hoarder. Another double kill comes over to Sushi, and they turn the fight right back around and pick up where they left off, back into the base for the win.
Yeah, you blink and you miss it. Mini breaking ankles, breaking the hopes here of Team Crimson to take game 1. And just like you said, Gordo, they are back in the base. The tower, only one remains. And it's going to be a fight win for Team Hoarder, and it's going to be a game win for them as well.
Great stuff there from Team Hoarder, and wow, what a team fight at the end there, coming on up with a huge turnaround despite the far lower health bars and not having been able to spend their money from the previous engagement. But it's Hoarder's Equalizer that just does so much work there. It gets to sit on top of Scary Jerry the whole fight long and virtually solo him out, and they're able to clean up from there. Really nicely done by this squad, especially given that they were at a deficit after the early laning phase.
Yeah, I mean, those first 10 minutes were looking really, really rough for the side of Team Hoarder, but I almost think it was Hoarder himself that saved that game. Those first, those two fights that really swung the way of Team Hoarder kind of bounced them back in goal, but I think the really big play that made that possible was, again, in that bot lane fight around that tier 1 tower on red side, we saw the equalizer essentially cut the entire enemy team up, right? They had the Renekton completely soloed out. They got the shutdown onto him. Hoarder himself burned down the backline. So that separation, just being able to essentially separate, well, I know I'm saying the same word a lot, but he managed to essentially break up the team when it mattered most. And as a result, they picked them off one by one. That's the pattern we saw for the whole rest of the game, whether it was Fimany finding picks, whether it was, Sushi with the Enchanted Crystal Arrow finding picks. They constantly were fighting on their terms and managing to punish these little micro positioning mistakes on the opposite side.
Absolutely there. And I want to give one more shout out to Sushi here on the Ash. You can see on this damage chart, right there, neck and neck with Fimany's Yone, finding lots of angles in these fights just to deal out the DPS and still be, in that traditional marksman role for the team. Not just there for picks, not just there for CC, but able to find opportunities to really dish out the damage as well.
Yeah.
Great stuff from Team Hoarder for game number 1. And got 2 more games of this one way or the other. So looking forward to seeing how this is going to change up their priorities coming into game 2.
Yeah, absolutely. It's exciting stuff. I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Well, we're going to throw it to a quick break while everybody recoups and gets ready for the second draft. We'll be back before too long with that second draft and with that second game. So don't go anywhere.
town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul.
Welcome back, everyone, to tonight's coverage of the Path2Pro Combine for day 15, where Team 2, Team Hoarder, came up with a win in game number 1 on the red side and looked pretty good while doing it. Big comeback there after a shaky laning phase, and we'll see how the adjustments are going to come in for these two squads based on that.
And, you know, a big shout out. I think it was a big team effort by Team Hoarder, but in particular, I really want to shout out the solo laners. I think Hoarder and Fimony in particular. I know you shouted out Sushi before we threw it to a break, but I really felt like Fimony, you know, after having such a, I would say, lackluster, rough laning phase on the Yone, a champion that they were heavily building around, you were expecting it to stay that way, given the comp that was drafted by Team Crimson, but he managed to make the comeback. He managed to, you know, scale on up to the monster late game that Yone is famous for, and really fit the mold of what his team comp was designed to do, and eventually kind of came to carry, along with Hoarder constantly getting those big equalizers in. So I am really interested to see if they play around those solo lanes yet again, if they draft a more supportive thing in the jungle like the Ivern, or maybe we're going to see something a little bit more Ollie favored, maybe something a little bit more bot lane centric like that Xin Zhao, which is optional to draft on here. I would say has a lot more carry potential than something like the Ivern, and then something like a Callista or a Kaisa if we want to see more lane dominance from Sushi and Zyko.
Yeah, definitely. We are still operating under the restriction, right? We've got pools of 5 champions in every role that you're allowed to pick from.
With one exception.
Each team only gets one ban from that pool. And yes, there is one exception allowed per team. The exceptions last game were the Skarner for Kryra and the Yone for Fimony.
Yep.
I'll be curious to see how that is adjusted around and played around as we get into game number 2. I think Kryra, you know, had a really strong early game on that Skarner. You could see why they picked it. He and Kim Down did a good job of pairing up to make plays happen early, but it felt like they were really on a different page than the rest of their team coming into the later game, and it was multiple fights where they were the ones getting it started and potentially maybe a little too far away from the rest of the squad for follow-up that may have ended up sinking their team in that first game. So let's find out what the adjustment, if any, is going to be as we get into draft number 2. Reminder, most of these will be filler bans. We will call out what the real bans are once we see them. The teams have the choice to use them in phase 1 or phase 2.
And I am interested to see if we maybe see some more preferential picks come by from the side of Team Crimson. You know, something like the Olaf is something Crimson was very well known for, especially in spring of this year. Kryra, obviously famous for the Zach could pick that one on up because, you know, although wins and losses are not the determining factor, you want to look good, right? At this point in the Combine, you are looking to squeak into those last 5, and so you want some of those glory plays, you want some of those glory picks, and I'm interested to see if, you know, Team Crimson back a little bit against the wall in this 3 block are thinking, okay, let's play something that allows us to be the big dogs. Let's play something that we know how to play. Let's make an exception for a big preferential pick that someone is good for, and it screams on that top side as we are actually going to see that first ban delivered here, the first real ban rather, by Team Hoarder, going to be that Ivern. And now I wonder if we might see, you know, an exception right out of the gate here, and it is going to be the Skarner, similar to what we saw in game number 1.
All right, so Skarner first pick for Ollie, but this time Kryra going to lose access to the Ivern as well. So Kryra, unless he wants to take something like the Zac using their flex pick, likely going to be limited in what his options are going to be to either the Sejuani or one of those kind of AD engagey junglers, the Vi, the Nocturne, or the Xin Zhao. So we will find out. It is going to be a flex pick. It's going to be that Lilia. And if flex pick meaning something different here than it means in every other game of League of Legends ever, like it's the pick away from the established champion pool. So it's going to be junglers for both squads. That means everything else is going to be coming from that preset list of 25. Sushi going to grab the only... Kaisa can be AP as well, but the only real mage bot laner out of the available pool there in the Ziggs. Oh, and going to take the Rumble as well. So interestingly enough, I think this surely commits them to an AD mid laner, either the Smolder or the Tristana for 5 minutes.
Yeah. So we're seeing shades of game one, but kind of on the opposite end here. This time around, we're going to see Scary Jerry on the Ashe and then Sushi on the Ziggs. We saw that in reverse last time, I believe. So I am interested to see kind of how this kind of works around itself here in game number 2 and which team can execute on it better. We do have a distinction though between game 1 and 2, and it is going to be that Cassante. So that's picked on up this champion. You know, at this point, I have lost count of how many times it's been changed, you know, reworked, nerfed, buffed, what have you, right?
Opting away from our bans on the Team 1 side. I mean, Team 1 also had no real ban in game 1, so I guess they're just choosing to not do it. They're just not doing a ban, or they think Corki's enabled, and that's been their real ban both games. One or the other. Or they're so concerned about Corki being the flex pick that they're using their real ban on the Corki. I don't know, but
the Triss taking away those signals that they might actually have to commit to the Smolder. You need some AD if you're on this side. So yeah, they're going to lock that one in, but this is not a great matchup for Smolder. Tristana very easily able to jump on top of this pick, abuse the range advantage, as well as, I would say, the early game trading pattern of that bomb makes it very, very difficult for Mini to navigate the first few minutes. Obviously, he does have that scaling advantage, and combined with, you know, some other pick champions like the Skarner and now the Rakan locked away in some more poke like the Ziggs, I think it pairs well into this comp, but it certainly is a different story when you consider what is being drafted on the other side, which is very difficult for a champion like Smolder to survive.
Yeah, no, great Leona angle here for Kim Down, sees that the Rakan is up there. It's definitely the best matchup that they can get going for them with what they've already drafted. It pairs up really nicely with the Ashe. We saw some of those picks played out by Sushi and Zyko in game number 1 on this exact same bot lane duo. Now going to be facing up against the Ziggs Rakan of Sushi and Zyko. And yeah, like you said, that mid lane matchup, I mean, it feels like the story of the draft, right? The fact that you're going to have that Tristana in mid lane will be able to get the push. The Lilia is going to be able to clear so fast. And I think that's going to be the recipe here for Utter and Kryra to use the fact that they're going to have that priority in mid lane to really try to stop that Skarner from having that early game impact. The fact that he can go through walls with a basic ability does mean that he is a big threat to be able to get off some of those early ganks, some of those early dies. He brings a lot of CC and damage to the table, especially in the first couple of levels. Trying to get out ahead of that and prevent Ollie from having the successful early jungling phase is going to be a big deal if they want to try to replicate the results that they had on the Skarner, where even with a stronger early game, you're not able to take it through for a win.
And not only would I say it opens up doors for Kryra to look for aggressive plays onto Ollie, but it just completely shuts, hell, it slams the doors for the side of Hoarder's team to, you know, be able to punish the Lilia, right? The full clearing is going to essentially be daily for Kryra. He's going to be able to hit those item spikes a lot quicker. The gold is going to be a lot more free. He's not going to really have the opportunity to struggle in these first 14 minutes. And that's going to open up a lot of late game threats for the side of Team Crimson, and they have a lot of those, right? They've got the Tristana, they've got the Ashe, they've got the double marksman. Getting a Lilia who's perfectly able to just farm on up without any threat of getting aggressed onto, add that on, and you've got a very scary late game if you're Team Hoarder.
You certainly do. We'll find out how well they're going to be able to navigate now through this early game to be able to get themselves into a position to be able to flex that team comp later on. Mini going to be found here, going to take a little bit of harass, actually maybe a little bit more than he bargained for here. Press the attack going to proc, gets hit by a volley over the wall by Scary Jerry, and I think Mini really not happy with how that went there, forced to already drink his potion here before the waves even crash.
And you can see the aggression from Kryra. He's going to move on into the jungle of Ollie. Again, we talked about it, just disrupting the game plan of the Skarner, taking resources where you can get them, abusing the fact that you will most likely have priority in all 3 lanes, at least for these first, I would say, few minutes, if not longer. So I love the play coming out from Lilia, not just defaulting into your own jungle, looking to take stuff away, now cross-mapping and denying Ollie the opportunity to do the same. It's a really good look and a really good awareness from the side of Team Crimson so far.
Yeah, and I mean, if whoever planned out this level 1, whether it be Ido, who is the coach for this squad today, or anybody on the bot lane, I mean, huge props to them because they get a full kind of checkmate state on the bottom side of the map here. You know, you get that early trade on towards Phi Mini on the Smolder. He is out of the action. And then it's level 1 Ziggs and level 1 Rakan. What are you going to do on these champions, especially Guardian Rakan, right? If he takes Grand Entrance, he can go in, he's not getting out. And the Leona and the Ashe just going to be so powerful in that level 1 stage. I mean, they had no choice but to completely surrender this bottom quadrant of the map. It's really nicely done given how the drafts went.
For sure, and this is kind of, I would expect what we're going to see as a similar story to game number 1, at least early on, is Kim down very, very deep.
Yeah, it's a little bit aggressive there. Now that they're level 2, I mean, there is a little bit of something that they can do. Gets knocked further out of position by Sushi. Nice use of the Satchel Charge. Zyko going to take a fair bit of abuse in the response, but Kim down now probably too low to tussle for the foreseeable future, at least until his Aftershocks back up. We'll take level 3 first. Gets a little bit back there, and see this bot lane get a big wave crashed in. I don't think they can tank these.
Nope, they're not going to try it. They are just going to go for the resets right on cue as well. I mean, Ollie is looking for a gank. Might actually find Scary Jerry on the recall.
Yeah, Scary Jerry. Ooh, just barely gets out in time. Ollie not ready with the rock in tow. Doesn't have the ability to throw it in time. And did successfully trade for Kryra's camps on the other side. And interestingly enough, was fast enough on the move that he actually came over here and grabbed the bottom scuttler. He could double scuttle here. Kryra, I'm not sure what happened, but looking a little suboptimal on the clear, given where he's at right now. Is now Ollie going to be the first one to get involved in mid lane. Utter going to lose a fair bit of health and drop a fair bit of whatever pressure he had on Phi Mini.
Yeah, I mean, that is going to be big, especially now the priority, the numbers for Kim down, is he's going to steal those away, and now Ollie might be in trouble.
Nice jolly done by Ollie to be able to pick up that big bird, but will he end up dropping? No, staying alive. Utter going to be forced to jump away. Will not end up dropping. First blood still on the table for whoever's bold enough to claim it, but nobody going to end up dropping in that engagement. And the fact that Ollie spent that time in that brawl and trying to steal away, actually, based on the CS counts, it looks like Kryra did get the big bird, so I think I was off on my read there. And then Kryra going to be able to pick up the top scuttler too when it was looking like Ollie had a chance to double scuttle, so Kryra firmly in the lead.
And this is what we're talking about with a player like Kryra, Gordo, right? He's so good at playing the map, so good at maneuvering around the jungle, taking these little micro advantages and being able to turn them into potentially game-winning advantages. This is what I think really, really made him valuable on that CCG squad in NACL. If he was on there for just a little bit longer, I think we could have seen a different story from them. But we're seeing the same story over and over again from Kryra, where this guy is just constantly performing above expectations, constantly putting in the numbers, and really taking the game home for his team. We are only 5.5 minutes in, but you can already feel the impact and the advantage this Lilia has over the Skarn.
You definitely can. And really nicely done stuff from Kryra to be able to pick up a early lead again. That's the second game in a row. He's really had the upper hand. He's definitely the more experienced competitive jungler between these two, and he's really showing it here. But the equalizer on a Scary Jerry might set up Ollie an opportunity to get himself on the board first in this game. A flash forward from Hoarder. He wants to be fed on the Rumble a second time in a row. Kim down, sees no way out but in, dives in with the Zenith Blade, and goes down for first blood.
And early game be damned, Pryo be damned. Team Hoarder are the first to strike here in game number 2 now. The health bar is a little bit low for the side of them as they are going to get potentially collapsed on. You can see Kryra is looking for an avenue in, but Kim down not in the area, just walking from the base now. And Utter not going to move from the mid lane, so it's going to be the 3 grubs given over to Team Hoarder without much of a fight from the side of Team Crimson. They get the pick, they transition it into an objective, and they get themselves just a little bit further ahead here on this exchange.
And I think it was the TP diff that really was the final nail in the coffin there. There was a moment where Utter could have moved up, made it an even-numbered fight, knowing that Phi Mini wouldn't really be able to join, but it's the fact that Hoarder could have, or the Hoarder was already up there, right? And there was no chance of Crimson being able to join. So it really did cement things in the favor of Team Hoarder. And let them secure those grubs. Meanwhile, not too much gain across the map here for the Crimsonators side, so they are going to be sitting here just a little bit of a gold deficit, still thinking about that first kill that didn't quite go their way.
And not only is getting those grubs really good in the wake of having champions like this Ziggs for Sushi, but it also denies a lot of gold from the marksman of the side of Team Crimson, right? Utter, in particular, Tristana, famous for being able to take those towers. Now not having those initial spawn of grubs is going to stunt that growth ever so slightly. We'll have to wait and see how that pans out, see if Fimini can maybe look for an aggressive trade as he, you know, gets closer and closer to scaling on up. But it also takes away from Scary Jerry, who has gotten a bunch of plates in the bot lane. You can see 2 of those have already been taken away. So they deny a lot of extra gold going over to the carries. And overall, it's a big advantage that they are just overall able to snag on up, and it means that they get more time to get gold for themselves, more time to scale on up with a lot of their hyper carries and take this game to late.
Yeah, Utter reads what's going on here. Enchanted Crusolero came out. Ollie going to be out of the way, but he does connect on a mini. Gives a great trade over to Utter, and Fimini now already at half HP right after getting back to lane. Scary Jerry's going to say that that was intended the whole way through, and Fimini now going to have to deal with a lower health bar for the foreseeable future.
And Fimini does not have the teleport as well, so yeah, is going to have to just kind of concede priority. And I want to see if now with 3 players rather from the side of the Crimsonators, if they can look for an aggressive play. You can see a storm brewing on the side of Team Hoarder as well. Ollie over the wall, just looking to maybe get in here and punish Scary Jerry, who does not have flash.
Ollie coming on over. Scary Jerry sees that it's going on. Ishtal's impact going to connect onto him either way, and he knows he's done for. Instead, trying to brawl in here and buy time for Kim Down to show up, and he's already fallen down. Now, what can Kim Down get on the other side? Hoarder going to be tenacious enough to walk on away from that stun and avoid the follow-up Squirrel Seed. That just means that there's no sleep opportunity here for Kryra. He throws on down the Equalizer. Kryra forced to flash away from the Impale. Kim Down now in too deep once again. No mana available for Lilting Lullaby, and while nobody drops, that fight is just not what the Crimsonators were hoping for.
I mean, Ollie manages to catch Kim Down on the rotation, and they catch him on the recall.
Nicely done by Zyko, and that's going to be Kim Down falling down. Ollie now on a killing spree. 3-0 on the board, and again, perhaps even more so than game number 1. The Hoarder's squad falls behind early, doesn't matter.
I mean, Team Hoarder, they are just taking advantage of the fact that Team Crimson, their eyes are not on the ball. The Leona wasn't there with Scary Jerry, so they pick him off without the flash. Kim Down was all by himself. They just barely managed to cancel that reset, so they get a kill onto him too. And it's now 3 kills over to Ollie, the Skarner, managing to complete that Heartsteel ahead now of the Grubs, now spawning on up, which means Crimsonators going to be in a very difficult position. You can see Crimson going himself going for the reset, has the teleport available, but so does Fimini. It comes up soon, so are they going to look for this fight?
That's going to be the question. I mean, already going to be a grub taken over for the Crimsonators, but Ollie just has to smite one of these and will be able to get the mites available for the squad. Utter going to knock him back in, put to sleep by Kryra, charge in from Crimson, and an easy cleanup there for Utter. That's shut down gold to the Tristana, and that's going to be the full 3-for-3 grub trade. No void mites coming through this game.
Big fight win there for the side of the Crimsonators. Like you said, they managed to get the gold over to Utter. Tristana, a huge carry, and he wants to look for more. Fimini now in a 1v1 situation.
Utter launching himself in here, challenging Fimini in these brawls back and forth, but nobody going to end up low enough to actually finish off the execution. Did use that buster shot in the top side fight, so not going to have that one here quite yet. And doing a nice job is Fimini of sticking farmed up on this Smolder. Don't know exactly what the stacks are at right now, but CS-wise, he's even or ahead of Utter.
I mean, he's really keeping up with it. We said it was going to be a rough laning phase for the Smolder. Tristana really good at abusing that range advantage, as well as just the early trading pattern of Tristana is really brutal to go up against, especially with a champion like Smolder who's weak in the early game. As now Crimson wants the 1v1.
Nice combo from Crimson. At least going to get the flash out of Hoarder. The question is, does he want to match it and try to actually finish off the kill? I think like the answer is going to be no. Going to play disciplined here, not getting too hungry for the kill, but taking the advantages as they come.
And he's gonna manage to chunk Hoarder out, which is a big thing. Hoarder can't really go for the reset at this point, and he's gonna want to join up for this bot side fight that is brewing. The Dragon is about to be up in 30 seconds. Crimson doesn't have the teleport, so him being able to keep this Rumble in the lane would be very valuable to dissuade any sort of numbers advantages, but the Rumble channels that reset, manages to go on back, is actually going to commit that toward the top lane, so it's going to be a 4v4, if anything, around this Dragon.
Yeah, the demolish threat from Crimson there doesn't want to give that guy a whole bunch of free plates, so is going to use the TP, immediately clear it out, and actually starting a walk down.
Yep.
See if Crimson is going to try to walk down as well, fresh off of his recall, as the Dragon is now on the Rift, and health bars are looking a little shady here for Team Crimson. How are they going to look to challenge this? Surely they don't want to give it up for free, but not in a great position.
Gonna start it up here. They managed to get the crab, so a little bit of extra gold, and you know, the dopamine of taking the crab as well. But now a fight win dopamine would, you know, rival, if not exceed that. As Hoarder maybe picked.
Hoarder walking on through the equalizer, but without the backup available quite yet. Fireman, he has Mom come through with the first kill, going to go over to the Crimsonators, but him down, taken down on the opposite side. There's going to be the Impale coming out across, lands onto two, but Ali, again, doesn't have the backup, and it's going to be a double kill to Utter, as Mini and Sushi, the last two standing, are forced to retreat. It's the Dragon to the blue team, but a fight win for the red.
Absolutely massive fight win. Utter managing to get more kills. Collector is also complete, which means this Tristana gonna pack an extra punch in these exchanges. So yeah, I like how you put it there. It is a Dragon at the end of the day for Team Hoarder. They still want to play for scaling, so I don't think they're too dissuaded and too discouraged about that result. They get themselves an objective to get into the late game, which is ultimately what they want. But it is more snowball gold given to the carries of the Crimsonators. So both teams, I would imagine, walking away from that fight rather happy. I think it's just a matter of how are they going to be able to use those kills going forward. They just got that bot lane tower, but the mid and top lane towers are still available. The Herald is also up, so they've got plenty of opportunities to extend this lead. The question is, are they going to be able to?
Yeah, I do think that if you are the blue side, you're a little bummed about your gold allocation right now, especially when you compare yourselves to the red side. Utter with 3 kills, Kryra with 1. Make that 4 to Utter as he finds a solo kill onto Hoarder in the bottom lane, catches the Rumble up too far, and that's compared to the blue side, who have all of their kills allocated to Ollie on the tank Skarner. The fact that Utter is getting so far ahead is going to continue to be a problem for them, as Mini up to 115 stacks, still in the process of getting caught on up in this game. This is going to be Rift Herald over to the red side, and they're in a great position to be able to take this snowball just the way they want to.
They absolutely are, and now with the extra threat being Utter, not only with 4 kills, so an extra bit of gold, but also that TP to be able to join up on any fight, it means that the side lanes are going to be that much more intimidating for Team Hoarder to deal with. You can already see Mini barely able to scratch this Cassante. Crimson just walking up with 0 fear, and with how strong this Tristana is, you're going to have to send more than 1 member, right? You need the whole cavalry to deal with Utter at this point in time, and that means the rest of the comp, you know, Scary Jerry and Kryra and Kim Down are going to be able to get advantages elsewhere. So the cross-map potential with the Tristana being ahead, and the fact that you not only have the Grubs, but also the Herald, there's just so many different ways I think Team Crimson can swing this pendulum and get themselves further ahead.
Yeah, and I do think that this is really the style that I've been most impressed with out of Utter. He plays on teams like Mirage Alliance Boget in the ACL. I find that when he's on these AD mid laners supporting the AP junglers, it's really where he has frequently looked at his best. And I really think he's showing through on it this game on the Tristana. Managed to use that early prio, didn't build up a huge lead, but was able to come in and be impactful in some of those fights, helped them secure some important kills on Ollie, got that first shutdown, and has been off to the races since then. A really solid Tristana game from him so far, and it's got the team where they want him. 4K gold in the lead, a lot of it in his pocket. They just continue to push the advantage.
I like Crimson here on the side lane. Hoarder has to respond, and Hoarder, you know, contrary to what we saw last game, hasn't really been able to influence the team fights a whole lot. There's been less 5v5 exchanges, less 5v5 skirmishes than what was seen in game number 1, but so far this Rumble hasn't really found a place in any of those exchanges. The equalizer wasn't as impactful as it was in game 1, and here comes Utter for a potential solo kill.
Looking for 5 and he knows that this is a one-on-one matchup that he can take anytime he likes. Satchel charge being down, or rather the explosive shot being down, means that he cannot continue to look for that trade, and now Rift Herald thrown down in mid. They want to be able to pick on up this turret, but not quite going to be able to finish it yet. Both of the side lane outers down, but the most important of the outers still going to stand for the time being. That's not going to stop Kryra from living on these birds, though. He's taken nearly every spawn of them, and this one will be no exception.
And I'm kind of surprised that the side of Team Crimson used that Herald so early. You could have just waited for the Dragon to spawn on up, and now Ollie thinks he's found Scary Jerry.
Yeah. White out here, the Impale going to get paired on up with the Mega Inferno Bomb, and Scary Jerry flashes out. It's just a sliver of HP, and Utter is right where he needs to be. Melts on through Ollie to be able to start the fight off on a good note. Crimson, though, taking a fair bit of damage on the other side, gets the knockback onto 2, and they will back away. The health bars are low on the front line. Kryra already having used that Lilting Lullaby. Scary Jerry just finishing off his recall, and that does mean priority going to belong over to the blue side. Team 2 looking to crack through the mid lane turret themselves. Crimson not backed away yet. Utter taking a fair bit of poke damage.
Well, they got it.
Sushi going to be able to execute down that turret, but Kryra is rejoining the fray. Still no Lilting Lullaby, but plenty of damage and plenty of movement speed. Still looking to find that last little bit, but Mini going to be able to finish him off. Flaps his way forward and takes it down the jungler. TP back from Crimson now. They've got a front line available yet again. Him down is back as well with a healthy health bar, but Order going to be able to push them back, and Scary Jerry and Utter just a little bit too low to be willing to keep on going forward.
And it's Mini managing to find the kill. Spider-Man taking down, caught in his own web. Kryra going a little too aggressive there. Gives the kill over to the Smolder. So big shutdown going over to the side of Team Hoarder. And now with numbers advantage, it is going to be Kryra spawning up. The Dragon's still on the board. Crimson may be overextended though, does have the all-out and the flash.
He is tanky. He can buy some time while the rest of the squad comes on through. Going to use the all-out to try to buy a little bit of space, but that is going to sacrifice a lot of that tankiness that he has. Pulls back in Ollie. Here's going to be Utter coming in on the side. Fires the Buster shot on a Mini to hold him in place. Scary Jerry finishes off Ollie while Mini falls to Utter. It's 2 kills back over to the red side. Sushi's picked off by Kryra. A solo kill shut down to him as they will move on towards the Dragon.
And it's a huge team fight win, or rather exchange win, I would say. That wasn't even really a fight, more like a slaughter. Team Crimson managing to pick not 1, not 2, but 3 members of Team Hoarder off. And Dragon be damned, they want the Baron, Gordo.
Yeah, did I say Dragon? It looks like they've got their eyes on a bigger prize as they start to work on it and are going to be able to melt it down without too much trouble. They are a double 80 carry comp. Psycho looking to find some kind of knockup. Hoarder going to throw on the equalizer. Gets it onto both marksmen and finds a fair bit of damage. Utter is behind the Baron. He's taking maximum damage. The dive into the backside from Psycho will finish him off. But Kryra gonna be able to spike down the Baron. They didn't buy enough time for Ollie to rejoin. Now Ollie's in a 1 versus 3, but Mini's gonna be here to back him up.
On the back.
Bomb with them. Psycho in over the flank. Comes in from the red buff. Gets the knockup, but the damage isn't quite there. Mini's still not fully upgraded yet. They're gonna be able to interrupt Ollie out of the Ishtal's impact, and they're still getting damage in there from Kryra. That burn down is gonna be able to get them 1 back in the form of Psycho, but they're forced off of the play. Baron buff in tow on 3 members.
And they managed to get 2, but Team Hoarder at the end of the day aren't able to finish the job. They also lose Psycho in return. Hoarder gonna be up here soon, does have the teleport, so if there is a fight at the Dragon, he will be able to join on up with it. But overall, Team Crimson coming out victorious yet again. The Baron, a little bit scary for them, but they managed to secure it. And Dragon is on the board. You can see Kryra by himself, just going to take that one away. It is only second Dragon, though, so despite the fact that it is another advantage going over to Team Crimson, no threat of a soul currently present on the map, and so that's a silver lining that Team Hoarder can potentially look at to try and come back in this game, because as we just saw, Mini is getting closer and closer to 225 Hoarder. He is getting very, very near that execute threshold. And we talked about the late game of this combo. It's just a matter of, can they make it work? Can they pull the trigger and understand those item spikes, those champion spikes?
That is what they're going to need. So far, has not been great moments here from the blue side to be able to really take a fight on even keel. But it's going to be a fully upgraded Smolder here before too long. He's at 200 stacks now. A little bit behind the pace you'd like to be at, but we'll be there in time for Dragon Soul. Meanwhile, Sushi hit by an enchanted Crystal Arrow and taken out of the fight. We'll keep this siege going with the Baron in tow. They've got a minute left, and they're crashing waves on 2 inner turrets here.
Yeah, I mean, really good split coming out here from Team Crimson. Team Hoarder just trying to play the best defense they can, but the rotations from the red side squad are too much to handle, and now an aggressive play might just be on the horizon. The turret is gone.
And in the knockup, pulling him back in with the all-out Impale, only going to hold him for a second. And it's now Zyko who's in too deep, trying to jump back away, going to be able to self-cleanse to get on out of there. It's a fully stacked up Smolder now. That Elder Burn is present, but will it be enough on its own? Crimson still looking for more. Mega Inferno Bomb dodged away from just in time, but Utter is in too deep. Flashes back away and manages to get that burn dropped off of him. This is going to be it for that Baron push. They're going to back away, comfortable with the top lane inner turret.
And the health bar is close to the execute threshold from Mini, but the gold difference, Gordo, is anything but close. 8K in advantages here for the side of Team Crimson. And they might not even need a soul. We talked about the importance of getting that late game objective in your palms, but based on how this is going, based on how aggressive we're seeing the top side of the Crimsonators play, they're just forcing the Team Hoarder out of every single exchange, and it's leading to them not even really needing to get these neutrals. More so, they are just so heavy on the damage and the CC.
Yeah, he got a little bit of a pick on the Kim down here. Will at least get some of that harassment onto him, but he will be able to walk away without too much trouble. Still a long ways to go until any of these objectives are back on up, and so Utter gonna redeploy up to the top lane. Enchanted Crystal Arrow comes through, calls out Ollie in mid-Ishtal's impact, and stops that Skarner from chasing Kim down any further.
Feels like a little bit of a BM snipe there from Scary Jerry. He didn't even need to do that. I think Kim down was out either way, but style points, right? And I feel like that's really all the Crimsonators have to play for. They're so ahead in this game. 8K, like we said. No objective really going to sing the song and dance of this game just yet, but Utter is looking to put the eulogy in a 1v2.
Yeah, it was a really tough position for Utter, coming in face-to-face with Ollie. No real good decisions left. Had to Buster shot him back away, but now he's alone with Zyko and has Kim down at his back. Utter low on HP behind enemy lines, though. Gonna have to play this very carefully. The whole gold lead is in this Tristana. He's got to step forward. He can't get out of there. Zyko gonna be able to take him out. Kim down. His brother in arms will fall as well, but here comes Kryra. Going to put 2 members to sleep. Sushi gonna be able to cleanse it away in time, and he's got Zyko as the escape route to be able to jump back on away. They managed to isolate Ollie on the other side and finish him off. Order's fallen down as well, but now can they keep this going without losing more members? Crimson advancing forward. Enchanted Crystal Arrow dodged away from by Mini and Sushi. Psycho's the focus, but he's not the one dishing out the damage. Crimson going to be able to get that stun back onto Sushi. Doesn't have the all-out available, but is going to be able to hold on to him for long enough to be able to finish off the kill. Now Zyko slowed up by Scary Jerry, but Mini, again, that Elder Burn is just a little bit too dangerous from this Dragon. Crimson and Scary Jerry don't want to tussle with it longer than they have to. Zyko flashes in, nearly finds the KO, forces a flash out from Scary Jerry, and nobody going to drop.
And for the second time, essentially the exact same location, Gordo, Mini is so close to being able to clean house on this Smolder, but the health bars are just barely above the execute range, and yet again, it's a big team fight win for the side of Team Crimson, and we're going to see how that went in this replay. Utter sandwiched between caught between essentially a rock and a hard place, does go down. Really unfortunate that Zyko got that kill, but now the team fight very spread out. Hoarder is completely isolated. He is gone. All Out is used, and Crimson is advancing, manages to get Ollie trying to save his top laner. So it's 2 kills to the Cassante. And all the while, the rest of the squad is thinking, okay, maybe we can look for a fight. Maybe we can try to get this Smolder ahead, get some kills under our pocket. But again, they just come up short.
A dive forward onto Scary Jerry might have been a little bit over-ego from Zyko as he's blown up by Utter. Ollie going to follow suit, just trying to pick off any members they can. And just like that, it's a 5 versus 3. And it's Team 1, Team Crimson in the driver's seat here. They're going to be able to move over and get their second Baron of the game.
Going to be Nash on the board, but the carries of Team Hoarder have the opportunity to try and get them out, but you can see Kim down on the side. He wants to try and get the flank.
Kim down not quite landing that Zenith play, but these are squishy targets, and Scary Jerry can slow him all day long. Hoarder is the one who's left out to dry. Scary Jerry takes a big chunk, but stays alive thanks to his barrier. No, he does not. Equalizer is going to make that pick happen for a Hoarder, and the Baron's been successfully stopped. Nicely done by the 3 carries remaining on the blue side.
And it's another 30 seconds until Scary Jerry manages to get back to the lane. This is an opportunity for Team Hoarder to utilize that numbers advantage, maybe try to go for the dragon, or at the very least push out the lanes, so it's harder for Team Crimson to look for these aggressive plays.
Kryra, brother.
And oh my god, Kryra, for the second time this series, you know what? As a jungler, I won't say anything. I understand his pain.
And definitely got a lot on his mind here. Macro calls to be made, try to make the most of this situation where they are down a member and 2 important objectives are up on the map. Do not want to delay themselves on Soul any longer, but also don't want to leave themselves exposed to a potential Baron sneak. Neither done yet here, but that dragon aggroed, kept in and away from the pit intentionally by Kryra so that he knows where it is. And now they've got the full force of their team back and available. Not sure exactly where Mini is, and a little bit concerned about a Baron sneak here, so they fire off the Hawk shot.
But there's nobody on the Baron. He's lonely in the pit because Team Hoarder don't have the resources, the damage, the timing to really go for that objective. And it's Team Kryra successfully stalling out in a numbers disadvantage. They get themselves the dragon. They're now on Soul Point, and they are 9,000 gold in the driver's seat. Gordo, it feels like this game just gets harder and harder for Team Hoarder, despite the fact that we said the late game was going to be in their favor. It has been anything but that so far, and a large part of that is simply due to how dominant the top side of the Crimsonators has been. We're starting to see now why I think Team Crimson are giving the exception champions over to Kryra.
And look, right, the late game does favor them, but late game comes in phases, and these 2 teams are in totally different late games right now. It's 2.5 items to Mini versus 4 items to Utter, and that's not counting boots. These guys, so much of the gold lead is held onto this Tristana. He's about 4 or 5k ahead individually, and that's been the biggest difference in some of these team fights, right? That Mini just isn't able to keep pace with Utter's damage, and you saw the burst in that last engagement. Zyko just taken out without even realizing what hit him there. Solar Flare coming out in that fight, not going to be able to find its way out of anybody. Zyko pulled in and away, though. Has to grand entrance backwards and cedes full control over this river here to the red team.
And it's a 4v5 disadvantage here for Team Hoarder, but they managed to hold the line. If it wasn't engaged from Crimson, I mean, realistically, where does Mini teleport to? That might just be a fight win, but they don't know that, so they're not going to pull the trigger just yet. They're going to be taken off the Baron, but Zyko might have gone too deep.
Yeah, Zyko again looking for something, sees the Tristana bot lane and thinks that this 4 versus 4 is probably the best chance they've got. They got great damage if they're able to lock the target down, but not finding who they're looking for there. Who they were looking for was Scary Jerry. Now going to get pushed back yet again as 2 mid lane marksmen facing off on the bottom lane, and priority still belongs to Team Crimson.
And they're starting to see, you can see they're just moving up toward this side of the jungle, looking to take control of it and shove Team Hoarder away from any real territory that is even remotely around the Baron. And now they're going to start it up. They cleared out the vision. They've got all members available. TP from Utter. It's the full 5 on this objective. They're narrowly seen, but I don't know if they can contest this. I feel like the Nash might just be gone.
knockdown going to be the focus on this bottom side. Ali looking to be able to pick him off. Doesn't quite land the Ishtal's impact, but does have the Impale available. Doesn't want to use it there quite yet. Baron has been secured for Team 1, and even though there are multiple pick tools available, they aren't able to land them onto any of the key targets. Kimdown just waltzes his way out, and recall's complete now with the Baron in tow. They landed Enchanted Crystallero. They're keeping Sushi in place. They're trying to take the fight right now. There's going to be the Impale landed onto Utter, but it's not going to be enough. Ali chunked nearly to death. Forced to jump back over the wall. Ishtal's impact his way out of there. Nobody falling for Team 2, but Utter still so strong, and that Baron being in tow means that this base is going to get threatened.
I mean, they managed to limp away Team Order. They don't sacrifice a member, but they sacrifice health bars, they sacrifice tempo, and it's more advantages, more timers for Team Crimson to play around. They're going to transition that in toward the bot side. Dragon about a minute and 30 away from spawning, and just based off of how much they're getting from the Baron buff, how much priority they're managing to siphon away from Team Hoarder, it feels like this Dragon either going to be a huge overforce from Team Hoarder or just a last hurrah that they might be too late to go for. This is a very difficult space for them to be in because they give up the Dragon and they are probably in the same situation as if they were to try and fight.
Yeah, Zyko getting caught once again, looking for a potential fight. Double
my
stun
God,
for Crimson, pulls in 2 victims, and it's the whole front line of Team 2. Melted before your eyes. Utter comes in from the side, blows up Sushi, uses him as a bomb to chunk out the remaining members. Order falls as well. 5-Mini barely able to sneak his way back into the base, but that's the numbers advantage that Team 1 has needed all along. They're going to look to close out the game right here. A Baron Siege minion in tow, and Crimson bringing in reinforcements.
And it's just 5 minions Zyko available. I mean, the wave clear from the Smolder is good, but not when he's dead. Not when a bomb goes off in his face, and Zyko will go down as well. It's game 2, series tied on up here in the Path2Pro Combine.
And again, it doesn't matter who wins, but it's always good when it's competitive, and we get to say that, hey, it does all come down to game 3 for who's going to have the more wins on the day. Really nicely done there from Utter especially, and the rest of his squad. Gets his first kill a little bit later than he may have wanted it, given how some of those early skirmishes went, but did not let his foot up off the gas the whole way through once he got it, and able to come on up with the win.
Yeah, I mean, big credit going over to Utter. And I honestly think kind of the dark magician of this game was Kimdown, right? We saw him a lot in this game. He goes for plays that sometimes you would say are a little bit questionable. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. This game, they all worked. His engages were crisp. They allowed Utter to follow on up. They allowed Kryra to follow on up. A lot of the engages were done by that Leona. So I really credit him for being kind of a conduit to the success of a lot of these carries. And I think that kind of style fits them really, really well. We see the carry potential from this mid-jungle duo, and it's only furthered by the support. And honestly, I would also put Crimson in up there. He set up so many times for the carries to just dominate those team fights.
Yeah, really nicely done on that freshly changed Cassante once again. Never letting up on that one. Taking a little bit of damage off the Q, giving a little bit of dash speed back to the E. And very, very impactful there, what he was able to get set up with some of those stuns and some of those pullbacks that really got the fight started when Enchanted Crystaleros and Solar Flares sometimes were struggling to land in that mid to late game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm really interested to see what we go in here for game number 3, because we are, keep in mind, second game we've seen Skarner, right? So I'm not sure if we'll see it in game number 3. I believe we are on Fearless, Gordo, so you can't be playing the same thing if you are the same team. So Skarner is completely out of the woodworks now, no longer available. A lot of champions actually no longer available. So I think game 3 going to be
that's
huge.
True.
Really? I thought it
Quarters
was.
played Rumble twice.
Oh, he has? Okay, then I'm wrong.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I don't think so. I don't know. Maybe we're ignoring those rules, but I don't think so. I think it's just the champion pool. I think we've thrown Fearless out for now.
Yeah.
All right. Well, excited for one more draft. We will see you guys after the break for game number 3.
I don't know what you want. Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side. My love, you say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. You say you wanna cry, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. I don't know what you want. Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side. My love, you say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to tonight's Cedo broadcast. Sido. I don't want to keep saying it wrong. I've been saying Sido all night. I've been real good about it.
You're not the only one that mixes it up. Don't trust me.
I know, but I want to be the one that gets it right. As now we get into game number 3. We're tied up 1-1. Again, who wins? Not really the most important thing in the world. More about what these players look like individually, but it's definitely fun for the entertainment value to be tied up 1-1 coming into our final game of the night. And let's see if that Skarner continues to be rearing its ugly head over and over again, as it's a 0% win rate so far. Let's see if they'll be able to change that coming into game number 3, or if they'll be able to dodge it entirely.
I actually would like to personally see a game without Skarner. I feel like this champion has been so highly prioritized. Maybe I'm still coming off of my Worlds high of seeing that champion. What was it, like 80-some% win rate at Worlds, and it's 80-some% win rate in the ACL. This champion just runs Summoner's Rift at the current moment and feels like a free win to anyone that manages to pick him up. And in a kind of condition where you're not necessarily able to ban him, hopefully we don't get Skarner in game number 3 is my point. Hopefully we get some more innovation. And I feel like that has been something we're kind of lacking here in game number 3, and something I expect will pick up in game number 3, because we have kind of seen the same champions tossed around. We've seen the same picks kind of swip-swapped, like you mentioned. We saw Hoarder with the Rumble 2 games in a row. We've seen the Ashe 2 games in a row. We've seen the Tristana 2 games in a row. We've seen the Leona 2 games in a row. So I want to see some ingenuity going forward, because we're getting down there, Gordo. This could be, potentially the last showing for some of these players in this combine, your last little hurrah before you start to say, okay, am I going to LA or not? So this could be your time to show your stripes on another champion that maybe hasn't been picked before, maybe flex something unorthodox and give kind of a cool performance on one of those. I want to see players break the mold a little bit in the 5 champion sort of structure that we've been going per role, and really throw something that we haven't seen before.
Yeah, and I was really impressed by how they played out the level 1 last game in particular for the side of T1. I think that really was a good use of the limitations provided by the champion pools. They really got themselves into a good position. They stole that Tristana even in the drafting phase, knowing that it was going to force a Smolder pick, and then they got themselves crafted into a really good situation to be able to abuse the fact that they were going to have a stronger bot lane and that they knew that they could force the opposing team to take Smolder. I'd love to see some more of that again. I don't know if it was Ido. I don't know if it was somebody else's idea, but I would love to see some more of that out of either of these squads. I mean, if Team 2 does it, all the better. Love to see more of that kind of stuff. But there's definitely room to be flexible and to innovate even in a 25 champion pool. So let's see what they're going to be able to do, especially given that you do have that flex pick and that it can be used in multiple positions.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen a lot of flexing going around in the draft so far. One champion that I'm actually really surprised that has been dormant in this series is the Jax. I feel like this is a champion that both Crimson and Hoarder are good on. In particular, I think Hoarder is really good on the Jax. So I'm surprised we haven't kind of seen that side lane threat be presented in this series whatsoever, because it feels like both of these teams are playing very different styles in every game. It's either the team that's going for the picks, going for the scaling, or the full-on death ball comp. So I think if you want to go for something that's more in line with like a 4-1, you want your top laner to be more on the side lanes while the rest of your team is death balling. If you want kind of that happy medium of what we've been seeing so far in games number 1 and 2, I think champions like the Jax, or hell, even like the Gnar, would fit that mold perfectly in the top lane and would give an extra bit of dimensionality to these top laners who have been so far constrained to just a few characters.
Definitely. And hopefully going to be getting into this draft here before too long. There we go. Called it. Brought it on in. And let's see what we've got to show for it. As a reminder, there will be at least 5 or at least 4 filler bans per team.
That's not, though. That's
okay, Team 1 using their ban for the first time this series. You'll love to see it. It's going to be the Ashe taken off the board. This will be the first game without Ashe in it.
So, already speaking to something different here in game number 3. We have been seeing a lot of the bans also targeted more toward the second phase of bans. So to see it just immediately snatched on up here by the side of Team Crimson signals for potentially something different. I think if you're going for the Ashe, you might more aim to be aggressive in that bot lane. Ashe is such a good champion at just being able to kind of nullify any sort of laning phase aggression from champions like the Kalista, like the Kai'Sa. So now, with that banned away, I expect Scary Jerry to be put on something that can actively participate in the laning phase to a more aggressive degree, as we are moving through the bans here. Nothing too out of the ordinary. Corki taken away. We are under the impression that this is a champion that nobody wants around because it technically is allowed to be, you know, an exception, and I think that's what they're banning it for. And they're actually just going to go ahead and lock the jungler first. It's the Ivern snatched on up. I was expecting an AD carry, Gordo.
I was as well, but with the Ashe off the table, both teams feeling like none of those are too critical here. The Sejuani going to be the response, so no flex junglers this time. We're going to be getting our flexible picks in a different position. We will find out which position that's going to be as the draft continues on. The Jack's not going to be it either. Blind for Hoarder here, looking to throw down the gauntlet up against Crimson in game number 3.
I love the Jax. I think it's a beautiful blind, and I think it really speaks to Hoarder's strengths as a player. This guy has the insane mechanics in laning phase, and I think Jax really rewards that with a lot of outplay potential, and he also just rewards, in general, good macro. You know, knowing when to show on the lane, knowing when to go for those TP flank angles, knowing when to side lane. There's a lot of intricacies to playing a champion like him, and a lot of outplay potential, which is something that I think Hoarder has exceptionally been good on. So I'm interested to see how that goes around. We have seen our exception for the side of the Crimsonators picked on up. It is going to be the Yone yet again, given over to Utter along with that Rumble. So we're just showing our solo laners our hand on that top side immediately for basically both of these squads now.
And now going to be the future bans coming on through. We still don't have a real ban from Team 2, and we're going to get no real bans from Team 2.
I think it's the Corki. I think they don't want that to be the exception.
Are you allowed to do that? Okay.
I guess. It's smart, but it's confusing.
What if someone's exception is Teemo?
For us.
What if someone's exception is Teemo? What happens then? All right. Presumably we've agreed on what the filler bans are going to be. There's going to be Rel locked on in. And the Orianna, by the way, a preset pick as well. So the final pick will be 80 carry, and they're choosing to flex this. I wonder if we're going to get a more traditional team fight 80 carry here. The rest of the comp is well set up for that, right? You got your engaged support, you got your Orianna, you got your Sejuani in the front line. Would love to see something of a hyper carry flavor coming on through.
This is a Kai'Sa or a Kalista angle, if ever I've seen one.
Well, then they're not using. Yeah. Then they're not using their flex pick. But
no, they're not. So this, I mean, you have full engage. You've got multiple ball deliverers. You've got full on dive as well. Kai'Sa is the natural response. I love to see it. I love that we are getting a bit more bloodshed here in the bot lane. It feels like Ziggs and Ashe are kind of, again, these champions that sort of nullify the lane phase, don't really want to go aggressive, are more so used for their utility. Throw that all out the window this time around. Sushi is looking to go on the Kai'Sa, paired up with the Rel. They're looking to go aggressive, bully out Scary Jerry and Kim down. And it feels like, you know, for games 1 and 2, the bot lane has sort of swung in, you know, Sushi and Zyko's favor. I feel like they have been better on the day. Scary Jerry and Kim down, although they won game number 2, it felt like Kim down goes a little too aggressive at times. That's something that we've talked about a lot over the stream. And Scary Jerry, you know, has had his moments, but hasn't really been able to outshine Sushi, I feel, in a lot of those key points in both of these games.
Absolutely here. And now we get on into the Rift for game number 3. Forces spotting each other right off the bat. There's going to be an early root caller found onto Ollie. They are finding him and they are chasing him to the ends of the earth. Nobody going to expend a flash to try to chase that pig down. But it will be an early flash forced out of Ollie.
And they're going to keep going deeper. I mean, Ollie's not even in the bush. He's not even hiding. They're actually going to place down the ward. So now they'll be able to spot out kind of a lane swap if ever there's going to be one. You can see Sushi and Zyko are kind of hovering around the top side. So a lane swap might just be into the cards here. And against a champion like Rumble, who is very, very deadly in the laning phase, I think being able to nullify that with the 2v1 lane is very valuable for the side of Team Hoarder.
Absolutely here. And now going to be a potential lane swap here. Sushi and Zyko moving up towards the top side, Hoarder towards the bottom. See how this Jax is going to be able to survive in that sort of scenario, and if Sushi and Zyko are going to be able to properly punish Crimson here, as it's just the old traditional lane swap. We don't even have supports in weird roles or anything here.
Nope, it's just a 2v1 lane across the board, and I think I heavily favor the side of Team Hoarder for that. Jax, a very difficult champion to punish in a 2v1 scenario, has a lot of defenses, notably has that counter strike that you always have to be wary of, especially for a champion like Leona, who is reliant on an auto attack to get that stun off. It can be easily dodged by Hoarder if they don't play their cards right, as Crimson is actually just going mid lane. So as soon as you said it was a traditional lane swap, Gordo, guess what they do?
Yeah, they make it non-traditional, and that's not going to be too big of a surprise. I do think kind of immersion strategies have been a good addition to what has traditionally been a very boring strategy.
Yo, I hate it. I hate it. Just tell you that right
well,
now.
don't worry. I'm
swaps.
sure that Riot is just going to absolutely butcher duo XP outside of bot lane. That is the most Riot solution ever, and I'm so convinced it's going to happen next split.
I hope so. I hope you're right, Gordo. Ever the optimist. I'm the pessimist of the group, of the salt mine, of any time we go for a cast. I'm always the guy saying everything sucks, and you're there to light a little bit of sunshine.
Well, see, for me, I'm still the pessimist too, because I don't mind the lane swaps, and I think they're just going to ham-fistedly remove them. So we get to actually have different opinions, but both be pessimistic at the same time.
Yep. United in being a hater, as Sushi's got 3 haters on his back. Does have the flash, but this might just be a dead Kaisa, Gordo.
Yeah, Sushi has the flash, but I think would be wise to not expend it here, and will not do so. Crimson going to be handed the first blood, and that Rumble off to the races, off of Hoarder's hands for the first time this series, but still doing Rumble things.
Just a clean pick off there from the side of Team Crimson. I mean, Sushi walking up there, did not have the support of Zyko, who's still in that bot lane. So they pick him off. Doesn't expend the summoner spells. I think a key thing for Sushi later down the line means that it's harder to go for a potentially re-gank in the top lane, especially with the wave going to bounce back up, meaning Sushi will be able to catch this experience, and the threat of the dive with those summoners up is very, very low.
Indeed. And now, moving on up into the river is going to be Ollie to clear out his first scuttler. Crimson's done a nice job of recovering here thanks to that first blood being handed over. You know, obviously he's behind in CS versus Hoarder, but going to still have that extra gold to be able to actually put him ahead in money compared to the Jax, and XP not looking too bad either.
Nope. Everything, I would say, looking pretty all right for both teams. It is Team Hoarder, you know, slightly behind because of that kill, but they are getting a lot of resources into the Jax. They are getting a decent amount of resources into Fine Mini as well. And the solo laners really, I think, going to have to be the big pieces in a lot of these later team fights, right? We talked about it. You want that big 4-1 split that the Jax can provide. You want that big shockwave because you have so many ball delivery systems. As now, Kim Down is going to go for the engage, but it's not going to amount to much. It's a 3v2 on the top side, but with how the health bars are stacking, Gordo, I don't think there's really an aggressive play on the board. They're just going to get the prio and set up for these grubs coming in a little less than a minute.
Definitely getting the siege in. Scary Jerry and Kim Down want to be able to get some of this damage, potentially stick on through, and knowing that they're up against melee, I was going to say, they should feel confident there's not going to be an engage, but Hoarder seems to believe otherwise, launching himself back on in there and getting some good damage on across. Scary Jerry finding the poke onto Hoarder as well, though. Ollie now looking to get himself involved, lands on a Kim Down, still manages to get the second tick of the flail. That's going to be Kim Down falling down to start off the fight. Kyra coming in to help on out, but the damage onto Hoarder is just not substantial enough yet. Hoarder's going to pick up a second one, and now it's Kyra left out to dry, trying to retreat, but will be able to get out there, but now there's nobody to clear the wave. A big win here for Hoarder's squad on the top side.
Really, really good positioning there from Hoarder and Zyko. They were taking damage, but they managed to stall enough time to where Scary Jerry and Kim Down were not moving, so Ollie gets the opportunity to move on up, make it a 3v2. Kim Down, unfortunately, flashing too late. He gets picked off. Scary Jerry then to follow the health bars, meaning that they have to go for the reset. They're not going to be here for the grubs. They might not. It's going to be Crimsonators on this side. They might not be able to finish them, but they will at least get the one at the end of the day.
Yeah, now Hoarder going to find that they are working on these, and like you said, they're going to get one, but they're going to lose one in trade, and it's not a grub, it's Kim down. Actually, make that utter. Looks to come in and get involved. Just tick level 6. Can he use the Fate Seal to get out? No, never mind. He's already used it earlier on, and he will end up falling.
Oh, Kim down, no!
Going to get that kill. Kim down went back in. He's down as well. Scary Jerry wants to get involved, and not the way he wants to. He's going to fall. A double kill to Hoarder. So strong on this Jax now, and what is the blue side doing?
Yeah, that was a really random play. I mean, you managed to get the grub, but the escape route was not in. It felt like if you kind of pivoted up toward that top side, you could have gotten away. But they go down toward the bot side of the river, more toward the mid lane. They get picked off. They fall one by one, Gordo. And it's so many resources over to the top side of Team Hoarder. In particular, 3 kills given over to the Jax is absolutely gigantic on top of the 2 grubs that got secured.
Nicely done. And now Utter looking to make something happen alongside Kim down, but a flash away from 5-Any will get him out to safety.
It is going to be, yeah, that flash expended. And Kim down without that flash, crucially, going to be very difficult for those roams to equal into a kill. So I really am curious to see how this Leona operates in the next few minutes without having that summoner spell and being very easy to chunk down. It feels like Kim down is not as invincible as you would expect a Leona to be. They have had a very easy time taking down. It's a 1v1 in the mid lane.
Yeah, dashing back on through. 5-Mini finding good damage. Utter going to fall. And 5-Mini will pick on up that kill. 1-0-0 on the Orianna now.
Beautiful play there from Zyko. Gets involved in the mid lane, makes the 1v1 a 2v1, knocks down Utter a peg, just locks him down enough for 5-Mini to finish the job, and it's more advantages going over to Team Hoarder. 1-6 in kills, 8.5 minutes in. Dragon still unclaimed by both teams, but you can see the priority. Sushi or rather Zyko and Hoarder, you know, the lane swap still active, going to get prio on this side of the map, meaning Ollie, if he wants, can just go for this dragon with all of that priority favoring him and him having the numbers advantage on the run.
Definitely. And now there is going to be dragon started on up by Ollie. Should have no issue being able to secure that one. A great start for the red side this game. He's going to have K Gold in the lead, a slight grub lead. And with all this money on Hoarder, I mean, that is exactly what you're hoping for with this draft. It just gives you so much side lane pressure and a team comp where you are already very happy with your team fighting capabilities.
And I actually think slow resistance, you know, we don't normally talk about the advantages of a dragon buff, but slow resistance against a champion like Ivern, you know, who is able to slow you with every single shield on top of doing the damage, is super duper valuable for a lot of these extended fights. And I think it's really going to pay dividends to Team Hoarder later down the line. So I like that dragon actually going their way. I think it's a really useful one to have in the back of your pocket, even if it is just a minute sort of difference.
Now, farming it out in the bottom lane. Crimson still looking to avoid Hoarder now. You're kind of stuck into this position where after the plates fall and lane swapping maybe becomes a little bit less attractive, you still feel obligated to send Scary Jerry up against Hoarder just because you're very concerned about what's going to happen if you put this Rumble in that one-on-one when Jax is 3-0.
Sure. I mean, the Jax second spawn of grubs going to be coming up relatively soon, and I have to think, you know, just based off how this is going, Team Hoarder are more than comfortable going for that fight. Crimsonators almost feel obligated to respond, but they're so far behind. Their carries are just not in a position to really deal the damage that is necessary to win the fight, that it might just be better to honestly give this one up. But that also sinks you really far down in a deficit, giving, you know, 5 grubs over to a Jax.
Focusing on towards him down now. He's going to be stunned up. You're going to be able to slow him. They're trying to pull him back. Flash away from Kim down will be successful, and they will escape.
And they're just trying to maintain control over this topside river, but the mid wave is being pushed on in, and it's Krywer going in.
Pulling back away, slowing him with the flail. Utter fishing with a knock-up as well. Not going to be able to connect that one. And it will be zone control ceded to the blue side. And wow, actually, Zyko going back in for more and immediately regretting it. 5 minutes, he's going to be here for the backup. Doesn't have the shockwave, though. Knockup connects from Utter, holds him on top of the equalizer, and the combo from Crimson and Utter gets a pick over to the blue team.
I mean, you thought they were going for Zyko, but all of those skill shots, they missed Zyko, but they hit Mini. The mid laner down, the Orianna down, does have the TP, but that's 15 seconds where the team of Crimsonators can go for these grubs, secure them for themselves, and they're actually going to be the ones getting the mites for the time being. Ollie going for a reset, meaning that there won't be a fight for those neutrals.
Definitely. And going to get themselves up to...
Maybe there will be a fight.
Hoarder finds Scary Jerry and just blows him up. Him down trying to back up his AD carry, but he's going to join him. This is going to be a triple kill to Hoarder if he's able to get on top of Kryra. Kryra able to buy that space away, but now Utter's going to be the next target. He's forced to flash back away over the wall. Did manage to pick up a third Grubby, so it does mean that it will be tied up 3-3, but that's more gold to Hoarder, baby, and that is exactly what a Team 2 Hoarder's squad wants to happen.
Yeah, that's absolutely gigantic for Hoarder himself. The side lane pressure you can lay on as Jax, you know, having those 5 kills, Triforce complete, on top of those 4 grubs, you're going to be sending more than one person just to deal with this threat. And it's going to mean that the 4 part of this 4-1 comp will be that much stronger, will always have the numbers advantage, and be able to win out in those fights, barring any giant outplays. And yeah, we see Hoarder, no fear, knowing they're all on the grubs, teleports in, goes for Scary Jerry. At the very least, he gets them all off of the grubs and doesn't die at the end of the day. Ollie able to save him with that. Zeke's able to pair on up with him. And there really is no stopping this Jax. He's so tanky, does so much damage, is so far ahead of everybody else on the enemy team that it just does not matter. So it's a huge advantage, a huge win condition unlocked for Team Hoarder. Meanwhile, the Crimsonators don't even have the dragon, so they have yet to really get a neutral objective win condition for themselves.
They really do need to try to find a foothold into this game on the blue side before too long, as it's another collapse coming through onto Kryra, and he is going to fall. Zyko, the one who actually walks away with the kill this time. Want to call out. Hoarder still pushing on the bottom side this whole way through, so it's all about what can the blue team get in trade. Ollie staying alive. A flash in from Crimson. Claims a shutdown for him. Be able to get them back in the green for this play. First turret gold was claimed by Hoarder on the bottom side, and there's still nobody looking to stop him. They don't even have the wave to deal damage to this turret yet. They're losing mid turret as well to Sushi, and from a macro perspective, it feels like the red team are still getting everything they want out of this game.
Oh, they absolutely are, and it's going to be a trade turret for the side of Team Crimson on this top side. But not only do you sacrifice a ton of resources to get just this one thing, you also don't have that teleport, meaning you won't have the opportunity for a flank TP. You can see those wards on the bot side river. Those are used for players like Crimson and Utter to get behind the squad of Team Hoarder. Now, neither of those TPs are up. That flank is no longer possible, and it's just going to mean a free dragon, because if you're Team Crimson, you can't fight this fight up front.
Hoarder just got solo first turret gold as well. He hasn't gotten to spend it yet, but it's going to be a big power spike.
Let's take a look. Let's see. How much gold does he have? My guess is 2,800. Or no, it wasn't even close. 1,600 is still a lot, though.
It is. It's a 1k gold lead over to Hoarder here. He's got a lot of XP in his pocket as well, and he's going to be very, very strong. Worth calling out that all 3 kills picked up by the blue side are on Crimson as well, so he's got that holding him up as Root Caller going to find Zyko. Daisy going to come down to try to buy some space, and there might be a fight over this Rift Herald. Kim down, thinks he's got a target on Sushi. Sushi going to cleanse right away to get away from the solar flare, and now what does the counter engage look like?
Oh,
Zyko picking up onto 2. Glacial Prince connects on a Scary Jerry, but he's staying alive, and he's managing to kite it back out. It's the first kill coming on through, and it was onto Hoarder. Fate sealed from Utter. Lands onto 3, holds him in place for Crimson's Flame Spitter. Kim down, finding more, and the blue side gets to turn around the whole game. A beautiful team fight from them.
Absolutely, Team Crimson coming up big. The Orianna Shockwave combo dream was accomplished by the side of Team Hoarder, but it did not matter. The punchback from Team Crimson was greater. They managed to get so many kills, so many resources into their back pocket. We're going to go here for the replay. Ollie expelled out of the fight. There we go. It is the Shockwave that gets complete, but they don't manage to finish off any of the targets. Scary Jerry gets away. They burst down Hoarder almost instantaneously, and when you put your eggs in the one basket, so many of them the other ones end up cracking. It feels like all of the resources were given over to the Jax. When he's out of the fight, Team Hoarder in general are out of the fight, and we saw it perfectly exemplified in that last exchange. No Hoarder, no win. They have got to try and give some more resources over to other members of their team if they're hoping to turn this one around and get out of this hole that they just created.
Still have the gold lead, but definitely a big stumble on what was looking like a clear path to victory for the red team. And now the siege coming through in the mid-outer turret. Are they even going to look to challenge for this? Solar Flare comes out. 5mini forced to flash back away. Coming underneath the inner turret. Kim down. Taking for so long. Shockwave didn't go off in time. 5mini died too fast. They will be able to take out Kim down, but they're tanking up Hoarder's damage for so long. Or make that Crimson, rather. He's the one piloting the rumble this game. Hoarder going to be forced to back away. It's a 4 versus 4, but the health bars are looking better for the blue side. And Daisy still making it about 4.5. Stepping forward, going to end up falling on down. Scary Jerry taking a fair bit of damage. Hoarder going to jump forward and hit on him with a leap strike. Scary Jerry has that arcane shift and will continue to be able to create space for himself. The map still belonging to Team 1 and Team Crimson.
Team Crimson just doing their best to try and push this advantage, get some vision in deep toward the jungle of Team Hoarder. They have created for themselves a big win condition now after that fight near the Herald. They got themselves the mid lane tower, so a lot more of the map opens up. And we were talking about Hoarder, 5-1-3 on this Jax. Now, you blink and you miss it. Crimson is now 5-0-3, Gordo. So this Rumble just as strong. And we've seen how impactful it's been in this series, not just this game alone, but it has almost caught up to that giant gold deficit. It went from 1,000 gold to 500. Rather, closer to 600, or rather closer to 400, as now, a bit of a fight here on the red buff.
Kyra going to be the target, but it's actually Ollie who's in here way too deep. He will be focused down. Equalizer comes on across, so does Fate Sealed. That's a lot of ultimates for one jungler, but Ollie will fall for it. And now Hoarder feels like he needs to back away. It's a 5 versus 4 on the map, ultimates or no. 1 minute to go on the Dragon. Ali will be back and available by then. They can just cede some territory for now and live to fight another day.
And this is one of the big advantages of drafting things like the Ivern, like the Yone, is that you have the ability to kind of go and get vision without putting your life on the line, right? In the case of Utter, he's able to go into that Soul Unbound, check some of these bushes, and immediately snap back if there is a threat. And the bushes created by Kryra on this Ivern give you so much more of an idea as to where the rest of Team Hoarder could be. So just these little things, these little spells in the kits of their champions, being able to provide them more information is what's allowing them to get an upper hand in these exchanges so far and really put Team Hoarder on the back foot in these last few minutes.
5 members strong once again. Team Hoarder getting back into this, looking to keep on stacking up these dragons. Do have no Shockwave worth calling out, but also no Fate Sealed on the opposite side. Mid lane priority going to be claimed by Crimson. They're looking to be able to start this fight, but not getting any of the targets that they're looking for. Daisy going to come through and join. 5mini keeping an eye on things with the ball. The Dragon is now here, but it's a little too early to start it off. They want to be able to find their beautiful start to the fight to be able to claim it for themselves. Zyko spotted out. Not going to be able to come through on the flank, and it's going to be a bit of a dragon dance here, Quacks.
It is, but the bush creation means that there's a lot more fog for Team Crimson to play around. It's completely dark for the side of Team Hoarder, and it doesn't look like they want to fight it. They have 2 dragons. They don't have to necessarily go for this exchange. They know they're behind. They know if they go for a fight, they are likely to lose it. And with Baron spawned, it could make a bad situation worse if you lose, 3 or more members on top of the dragon. So smart move to just live to fight another day. They're going to recoup. They're putting Hoarder on the side lane, as you can see, just trying to get more resources into this Jax. but I have to feel like the resources need to go on other members other than Hoarder. It feels like if Hoarder dies in these fights, we get a repeat of what happened near that Herald, where you don't really have any kind of damage. Sushi does not have the resources to really survive these extended team fights with so many backliners and so much burst from the side of the Crimsonators. And Fimini has been put behind so consistently here in this game that the Orianna Shockwave is more a tool for the rest of the champions on Team Hoarder to get their damage off.
I definitely agree with that. The farm has been funneled into Sushi throughout most of this mid game, and Hoarder's been the one catching the side wave, so Fimini is the one suffering from that limited access to gold across the board on this team, and team fights not going their way means that he hasn't been able to soak up some of the additional income that way either. As the squad comes in and regroups, you can see they're trying to get Fimini a little bit of farm in the bottom lane, but Daisy coming over the wall. They're going to start off this fight. They find Zyko. He's going to crash down over the wall. Will be able to get himself away, but again, that's going to be a little show of force from Team 1. They move back on over and look to potentially start off this Baron.
It's just the Baron dance. We just saw the Dragon dance. It's now the same. But on the other side of the map is now Ollie has gone in 1v3, but no one's around him.
Hoarder was coming in on the flank, does land the Glacial Prison, but it's on to Scary Jerry, who's still able to kite out all day long. Here's the equalizer, cutting off Zyko from the rest of the squad and picking up the first kill. Fate sealed out of Utter, connects onto 2. Sushi trying to kite it backwards, will be able to clean up none of them as Utter is able to flash back away, or blink back to his soul, rather. It's 3 members down for T2. T1 finding another win, and Team Crimson will move on up to be able to take this Baron, and it's going to be uncontested. Ollie's not here.
Yet again, it's Crimson and Utter making the difference. And Kryra on the side, just shielding up his teammates, making it so hard for any assassinations on Team Hoarder to go through. Utter in particular, though, really good on this Yone. The scoreline does not tell the story of how effective he has been at getting to the backline, threatening Sushi all the time, threatening Fimini all the time. It makes it so difficult for the Kaisa to kind of fully unlock in these fights and go in when you are just constantly punished for overstepping at the slightest millimeter. We're going to get to see it in the replay here. Kim Down goes in, they lock down Zyko, but the real re-engage is from Utter. He gets the Fate sealed, he draws 2 members in, and he doesn't stop there. He doesn't pay attention to the champions that he CC'd. He goes right onto Sushi, he snaps back, but the important thing is, with that CC, with all of that damage coming down from Utter, he bought time for his team to catch on up, and catch on up they did, right to kill all the members of Team Hoarder and get themselves yet another fight win for them.
Yeah, and Ollie and Zyko just a little overeager there. They really want to start a fight while they have Hoarder on that flank, but Scary Jerry's on Ezreal. He just blinks on out of it, steps away, tanks a Glacial Prison like it doesn't even matter, and they end up overexerting themselves, overextending, and getting taken down 3-0. And now the gold lead belongs to Team Crimson. They're sieging on the bot lane inner. They're going to claim it. 3 members on the opposite side. They're going to try to just leave Hoarder on split push duty for now and see if they can get back and respond.
And Crimson 7-0-5 on this Rumble. So much attention given to him in 2024. Lots of doubts going into the new year, but he proved them all wrong when he promoted into the NACL with the CCG, made his debut into Tier 2, came in as a really strong top laner, particularly in that laning phase, and now he's in this Combine dominating in these games. And a lot of people really wondering where the future of this player lies, and with performances like this, I can assure you, it is going to be a golden one.
Yeah, it's going to need to be. If Hoarder and Co want to be able to stay alive in this game, they need to stop getting picked apart in some of these fights. And the split push game, it's just not as favorable to them as it once was. You can see here they're a little bit behind on some of these plays, and a lot of that is the fact that that Baron is being worn here to speed on up these pushes. It will fall off eventually, but they lost multiple inners already, and it's not going to get any easier. There is that next dragon already up here. Going to be soul point for them if they're able to secure it, but so much needs to go their way, and it just has not been. Zyko spotted by Crimson. Kim Down is following on up. He's so slowed by the harpoons. Kim Down not even committing the solar flare here. They might be able to just burn him down. not going to be able to get the kill, but Zyko's so low, he's basically off the map.
Zyko gonna have to go for the reset, but it's Utter on that Dragon, so they will equalize the Dragon count. That advantage that was given over to Team Hoarder around the early phases of this game where they got those first 2 Dragons. We're really looking forward to getting that soul point completely halted here in this game. And I have to think that based off the trajectory of this game, Gordo, it feels like we aren't going to a soul point contention style of game. Crimson and his team have just surged forward, but it's going to have to be Team Hoarder that look to bite back.
Yeah, Ollie slowing up him down, but learning from past mistakes, doesn't want to overcommit onto the support, especially a Leona who can get so tanky at a moment's notice. So they're forced to retreat back away. Sushi taking the long, safe way around, doesn't want to get picked in transit by somebody like a Yone. They're going to try to defend this inner turret. Utter already getting some good poke damage onto a Hoarder. Meanwhile, Scary Jerry clearing in mid. They see this, so they're 5 versus 4 for a brief moment here. Will they find a way to pull the trigger?
They don't have a current wave crashing down, but you can see they are in that bush. Ollie is looking to try and capture somebody with that ability, but really your options are so limited. There's just been a wall created by Team Crimson. The Equalizer gonna split it into corners.
Trying to take the fight here. They got everybody locked down. The shot here could be beautiful. 5-Mini already threw it on through. Utter in the back line, chunking everyone so low. Kim down gonna be the one who falls. Zyko just barely able to buy himself the space. It's 1 kill on the support, but it costs them all their health bars. They still lose the inner turret, and they're still gonna be the ones who are forced to back into their base.
At the end of the day, though, it is more map being given over to the side of Team Crimson. Sure, they lose Kim down. Sure, they lose a little bit of health bar, so they're going to have to go for the reset. So it is going to be Team Hoarder buying a little bit of time to just recuperate. But they're going to come right back, right? It feels like this kind of barrage of pressure by Team Crimson is never ending. And unless Team Hoarder can get a pick or get a fight win, it's going to continue. And not only that, it's going to get worse.
For sure. So they get their 1 kill. They technically win the fight as far as man advantage goes, but I think in terms of who accomplished their goals, you're definitely happier to be on Team Crimson after that last siege. Next Baron is up in 45 seconds. That's going to be the site of the next battle. And who is going to be able to claim it is certainly going to have a big impact over who's going to be able to take the game. A second Baron over to Team Crimson here will very likely break open the base.
Oh yeah, it's like 99% certainty at this point, and they're gonna get the Empowered Rift Scuttler, or rather just Scuttle Crab, and clear out any sort of vision, any kind of eyes that Team Hoarder might have on them, and this is just gonna make it that much more risky for Team Hoarder to step on up. You can see Zyko and Ollie want to try something, but it's so dangerous to do when you just don't have any vision to reliably go for. Crimson is on the side, but he has TP, so this 4v5 can very easily turn into a 5v5, and he's not even gonna be able to TP. He's just crossing on over, Gordo.
Yeah, looking for more of these root callers, fishing constantly is Kryra, knowing that a good landing of one can just end the fight right away. Crimson coming in off the flank, burns on towards Ollie a little bit, but not getting the fight started there either. The Baron is up and available. Sushi clearing out these waves, trying to make sure that the team's going to be able to approach and challenge. Hoarder assigned to the bottom lane, has the TP available, but might just need to preemptively use it here before too long. The Baron's already getting started up. They do see that Utter is there. They know that it's being worked on. Hoarder's going to have to TP early and often if he wants to actually come up here and challenge for a fight, but they're just getting poked out by Scary Jerry.
This is a really good line of pressure created by the Crimsonators, and Ollie wants to try and disrupt it. Scary Jerry and Kim down are away from the team. The teleport's coming in.
Kim down, locked on down by the Glacial Prison. Scary Jerry getting focused on the other side. Zyko taking a fair bit of damage. Ollie is there, potentially threatened to steal, but they've stopped working on the Baron, and the rest of the squad is split away. They can't come in to join. Ollie gets the steal. The burn damage from Crimson gets the Baron low enough, and Ollie's able to claim it for the team. But it's still going to be a numbers advantage. Back on over to Team Crimson. The remaining 3 members going to use that enhanced recall to regroup and defend their base.
Huge steal there coming out from Ollie, flashes over the wall, gets the smite off, saves the game potentially, as 3 members live with the buff, meaning they'll be able to stall out the push that Crimsons want to go for in order to end the game just a little bit more. And better yet, with the Baron empowered minions, they can create prio for this next dragon. They might not have the man advantage right away, but we're going to go into a quick replay here. You can see Zyko is soaking up so much pressure from Scary Jerry, but it's the other side of the map that you really have to pay attention to. Porter, again, the first casualty, the one that we said was going to carry this game, just goes down, Ollie to follow. And it just kind of felt like a desperation play from the side of Team Porter, and they managed to get themselves an advantage at the end of the day, but it just stalls on out. Unless they can use something with this Baron buff, as soon as it expires, the game is exactly what it was before they got it.
Yeah, soul point achieved by Team Crimson. Now they get their 3rd dragon in a row. Still in the gold lead, and like you said, we need to see this Baron put to good use. Top inhibitor turret has been dropped previously by the split pushing efforts of Hoarder, but they're not going to be able to get that inhibitor. They're not going to be able to give themselves an opening on the map to potentially be able to challenge for these future dragons. And it is so difficult for them to actually be able to team fight here. It's so tough to lock down the carries that they need to be able to take out. Crimson would be a great target, but they've never even managed to touch him. Still sitting here deathless on the game, the last member who can say that. And he might be able to finish out the whole game that way based on how these team fights have been going.
And if you want a testament to just how difficult this game has been to play for Team Hoarder over the past, I want to say 20 minutes, look at Sushi, level 17, so many more CS above Scary Jerry on the other side, and only 1 KP. This man is completely jailed in every single team fight. He's so strong, almost 4 items, but he literally cannot get involved without just getting bursted down.
Tough for him. See if it's going to break the other way eventually here, but even this AP-centric Kaisa build, I mean, it's just tickling the forces now. We get later in, the turret is going to fall here on that siege, and they're going to try to get a disengage out of it. Glacial Prison came on across to try to slow members on the other side. Zyko going to be able to evade the bait sealed as they continue to kite backwards, but the damage, it's just not there. The best they can hope for is to be able to escape, spend their money, and have taken the inner turret, but at some point, there's going to have to be a break point where you need to find a way to win this game, and it is so difficult for Team Hoarder here. They just don't have the tools to do it.
It feels like Team Hoarder, they're really good at stalling out a lot of these win conditions, right? Those 2 early dragons doing so much work in keeping the soul away for Team Crimsonators up to this point, but now you're kind of running out of time to stall. The dragon is here 3 over toward the side of Team Crimson. If another one goes over, that's soul. You've done a really good job at stalling the fights as well. Getting that Baron buff stolen by Ollie means that they were able to hold off the siege from Team Crimson. All of this is coming to a head, and it feels like Team Hoarder are going to be forced to act one way or the other. The question is, do they have the resources to actually look for a fight? And just based off of how strong and how scaled up the solo laners and Scary Jerry are on the side of Team Crimson, my answer is going to be no.
Zyko dropping some emotes on his collegiate teammate there, and Scary Jerry, as they stare each other down in mid lane. And
Scary Jerry
looking like he's gotten himself the better hand in this particular bout. Very well prepared to be able to take down this game, and would be a hell of a comeback for Team Hoarder to be able to get themselves a foothold back in this game. That Baron steal from Ollie certainly doing a good job of extending things, and now Baron and Dragon going to be swanning at the same time. This is where we find out, can Zyko and co use their veterancy, particularly Zyko's veterancy, to try to out-macro this double epic monster spawn and craft something favorable for Team Hoarder.
35 minutes into the game. It feels like this game, at this point, Gordo, on a knife's edge. One team fight could tip it over, but the Crimsonators in particular have been tipping this game for the last 20 to 25 minutes in their direction. And I haven't seen any evidence to support that one more team fight would go the way of team, that this last fight would go the way of Team Hoarder. Sure, you've now got 4 items on Sushi. Sure, Mini finally manages to get that, magic pen complete. But we've seen the song and dance before. We've seen that Hoarder, the big frontliner, for his team just gets bursted on down at this point. And without that, it feels like your comp completely falls apart. It feels like your backline is so limited, so unable to actually get anything done. And we're seeing that exemplified in this game. It's just it's so jailed for Sushi and Mini at this point, to the point where it's kind of funny.
The Ivern shielding is just crazy. Hoarder thinks he found an angle on Crimson on the other side, does manage to get the equalizer forced out. Now he's trying to escape, but he's going to find himself face to face with Kryra. Kryra going to take the leap strike, trying to get out of here. Glacial Prison over the wall. Ollie coming in to back up his top laner. He's going to be the one rooted up and burned down by Crimson next. He flashes back away. There's going to be a Void Seeker.
That's the jungler.
Found by Sushi, but you can't take that killer instinct into the middle of 4. It's a pick on the Ollie. It's the jungler down as both epic monsters spawn, and the map belongs to Team Crimson.
The map belongs to Team Crimson, and Game 3 might just belong to Team Crimson with that pick. The Dragon is up, the Baron is up. You can see the side of Team Hoarder looking to threaten the other objective, but if you're Team Crimson, you don't have to send all of the members to respond. You can literally just leave one with
so
teleports
fast, though. Look at the
and go over.
Rocked.
Are they going to be able to
Kaisa
do it?
damage doing this very, very fast. They're trying to get to it before Kryra can arrive, and they just might be able to do so. They claim the Baron. Crimson is TP'd over. 4 members have to get away, but look at the equalizer. Utter holds him in place with the Fate Seal. Crimson flashes over the wall, and it's 2 kills. Back over to Team Crimson. It's a numbers advantage across the map.
Ooh,
just barely getting the recall off in time is Hoarder, so they will have 3 to defend the base.
They've got the Baron buff. Again, they steal the top side objective. They stall out the game, but the Dragon is up. Gordo, the Soul is available. Team Crimson, they own the map regardless of how many steals Ollie can get, how many times they can secure the Baron. It's going to be a free inhibitor. Men are down on the side of Team Hoarder. It's a 3v5. They cannot contest, and they're looking to maybe put the final nail in the coffin.
Yeah, Team Hoarder wants to be able to extend this fight. They want to buy time for Sushi to respawn in time for the Soul fight, so they don't want to let this reset come on across. They're trying to delay the resets without necessarily fully committing to a 4 versus 5 team fight. They know that they can't win this fight, but they don't want to give an angle for the Dragon to get started, and it looks like they're doing so successfully. Sushi is back alive. He's looking to regroup the rest of the team, and they're making a beeline over to the Dragon. Gwax.
They're trying to go for the Dragon. They are going to start hitting it. You can see Crimson on the other side separated from his team, and it's going to come down to a fight here. Gordo, this is it.
A little bit far away, but does have access to Killer Instinct. They do manage to secure the Dragon. Both teams now on Soul Point. This was the macro play we needed. This is what I was calling on Zyko to pull out of his hat, and somehow from this massive deficit, from the complete inability to win team fights, Team Hoarder come away with both of those simultaneously spawning epic buffs.
Oh my god, 40 minutes in. Crimsonators have been in control of this game for so long, Gordo, and Team Hoarder have been so good at stalling it out. All it really takes is one more team fight for them to completely reverse the trajectory of this game. It would be an absolutely insane comeback. But we've kind of been doing the same song and dance for about 15 minutes. This feels like, Gordo, have you ever played chopsticks with your fingers?
I have.
You know, this kind of feels like that, where you just start hitting them, they're hitting you back, and then you're hitting them back. It's just 1-2, 1-2 repeat.
The Void Seeker landing, Glacial Prison not. They won't pull the trigger onto Utter there. This guy, he's got a Kainic Rooker, and he's so tanky.
Yeah.
On the Yone. He's invested in some of these luxury survivability items, knowing that the only real risk is getting isolated and bursted out by the Orianna Kaisa combo. And, you know, this team kind of heavy on the magic damage when you think about it. Between this AP-centric Kaisa build and the Jax,
Yeah.
there's actually not a lot of physical damage to go around, and they feel comfortable building these sorts of items.
Really good build awareness, for sure, from the side of Team Crimson. And Zyko playing with fire there, came down, narrowly missing him with the Zenith Blade. And it's just, this game, the pace of it, Gordo, has just been stalling after stall after stall after stall. Team Crimson are looking to end it here, though. They're trying to get this tower down.
Order fishing for a little bit there, gets him down into the middle of base. Trying to fight them out here. Crimson was the original target. They did manage to pop his Banshee's Veil, but Hoarder's down below half HP already, and they're going to be forced to back away. Mini tanks a Mystic Shot, and they're pretty much out of there now. numbers advantage back over to Team 1 as nobody can stand and fight them. They are too powerful while they're grouped up as 5, and they take what they came for. Scary Jerry a little bit isolated, but can still blink back and rejoin with the rest of the squad. And Order thinks this might be the best shot that they have. He's dueling with Utter. There's going to be Ollie on the other side, throwing on out the Glacial Prison.
They go! Shockwave!
Pyra. They take down Crimson as well. It's still Sushi, standing strong, firing away through the squad. A triple kill over to Hoarder, and it's an ace for only 5 mini to Team Hoarder.
And 5 manages to get the giant shockwave. Finally, the combo comes true. It's a 5 for 1, an ace for the side of Team Hoarder. They've got 30 seconds on the clock. Look at the base though. Zyko has to go to defend. Can the 3 members here in the mid lane of Team Hoarder end the game? 41.5 minutes, Gordo, and it was so good for Team Crimson, but one team fight dispels all of that. It undoes all of that hard work, and Team Hoarder, they're gonna win it.
What a beautiful series of events here for Team Hoarder. They buy so much time to be able to find one perfect fight, and they read it right. They know they've blown just enough resources on the Siege and the bottom inhibitor that they can take one that they can win. They come out with it, and it is going to be a 2-1 victory on the night for Hoarder, Ollie, 5 mini, Sushi, and Zyko.
What a game 3. What a way to end us off on the night. And can we please, get the gold graph in here, and oh my god. Oh my god. So unbelievably back and forth between both of these teams, and it's such a good conclusion because games number 1 and 2 were pretty decisively won by both of those teams. So seeing this one be super back and forth, super up and down, I think is a great conclusion to end us in the night. And I gotta give shout outs here, actually. Honestly, I gotta give a shout out to 5 Mini and to Sushi. They were completely barred from participating in this game until that last team fight, and they made it count. The Shockwave saved it. Sushi had the fancy footwork, laid so much damage down on the Kaisa, and that's what saved them the game. The unsung heroes for that squad come up when they need it the most, and they needed it there, right? They were running out of stall time. There were no more dragons to take for free. There were no more Barons to sneak. There were no more picks to be had. It all came down to the team fight. And would you have it any other way, Gordo?
Not at all. Beautiful Shockwave, a beautiful team fight from Sushi as well. Great use of the killer instinct, keeping himself safe, getting out of some of those potential fate-sealed picks there. And coming on up with the win. What a fantastic game all around here. Note that Ivern did more damage than Ezreal, by the way. That champion's ridiculous. Let's put an end to that, please.
Yeah. I mean, based Ivern pick, right? I mean, Kryra did so well at keeping his team alive, but how are you going to keep all 5 of your teammates alive when they get bursted down like that, right? Even the Ivern could not have saved them from that. So, again,
him being the first one to drop, I think, was a big deal as well.
Yeah, that too.
Like, Trigger Seed's on such a low cooldown. He was spamming that thing out constantly. Losing access to that means a lot less shielding.
What a game, man. That is one that I'll be talking about for a couple of days now, because that really, to me, showcases the talent we have here in the Combine, right? From both ends, it was a dominating game from blue side here. They were winning for 20, 25 minutes, constantly pushing their advantage further and further and further. But other side, stalling it out, looking for those perfect moments. And finally, they find one at the very last second, and they go full throttle with it. So credit to all 10 players, right? We are going into kind of the sunset of the Combine, so this may very well be the last showcase for some of these players this week. We do have games coming up tomorrow, but I guarantee you not all 10 of these players are going to be participating in that. So just congratulations to all of the teams, to both of the teams, all of the players. This was an absolutely beautiful showing from every single one of them involved. And I can't wait to see who we're going to get next, Gordo. It is going to be, I would say, a very turbulent and quite frankly, maybe emotional cut, and to see who's making it to LA.
Absolutely. And it's going to be a great Combine season all around. even past this combine as we start to gear up for season 2025. So really happy with what we've gotten to see of all these players. So much talent to go around here in North America, and excited for who is going to really break out and make NACL or beyond in 2025. But that's going to do it for tonight's broadcast. Thank you all for hanging on out with us. And from myself, Quacks, Chris, and Anthony on production, been happy to have all of you here.